just such a great, fantastic movie that is just so different than anything else that came out this year, and I loved it. I can't multitask. It's like a dead giveaway.
I can't either. That's why I'm not really listening to you. I'm just kidding.
Dave, I just want to clarify that you're talking about doing another Crowe edit.
Only sort of.
I'll eat, and if it gets caught, it just is like, it's back to my hanging ball. Like, I gotta pull it out, and then like
sounds horrendous.
Yeah, it's awful and terrible, and it's a fight every day to keep it. We are live. Welcome to episode 61 of Long Walk Short Drink. Holy shit. This is our first episode back after our winter holiday hiatus, right?
Yeah, I like that alliteration.
Yeah. I am Palmer, broadcasting to you, podcasting to you, whatever you want to say, from Dayton, Ohio.
And this is Dave doing the same from Northfield, Minnesota.
All right. Already up to 2 viewers.
Welcome.
3
Hi,
viewers.
hello.
Oh, geez. They're ticking up already, huh? All right.
All right. Oh, I just smashed my teeth into the microphone.
Jeez.
Okay. Wow.
Chip a tooth on that thing. Jeez.
So yeah, we haven't. I mean, for us, it's like a couple.
Happy New Year, man.
Yeah, Happy New Year to you as well. We talked for just a few minutes prior to going live about more private stuff, I guess you could say. The very few things we don't share with our listeners.
Yeah.
But we haven't actually really talked outside of a few short texts in like almost over a month, or a little bit over a month, because I don't think we recorded in December. Well,
we're like, both of us outside of the show are ridiculously busy. We're doing our own thing, and I mean, we're also halfway across the country, so it's not like Dave and I get to hang out on the weekends, or I mean, the last time I saw him in person was for episode 9 in Des Moines, and before that it was 2015, the same year that I quit smoking, like when Ash and I went to visit him and the bride in Minnesota. So it really, I remember early on, and when we were recording, I used to feel really apologetic, like, oh, we only talk on the episode. I don't want to talk about these things outside because they would make great stuff about the show. But then I think it kind of got to the point where it was like, yeah, that's okay, because we get like, we realized how cathartic the show was. So we just kind of
exists for us to keep in touch. Everything else is gravy.
And we do have a good thread with the rest of the cast that we kind of regularly or semi-regularly will banter with everybody on, which is awesome. So we communicate that way. But we have not talked for about a month, other than just like happy holidays and a couple of things on the thread with the cast members. So
I think we're gonna catch up a little and then talk about some of our favorite respective things of 2018.
2018,
Palmer's Pleasure and Dave's Digs roundup, or I don't know. I was trying to figure out what to call it.
I actually so not a digital. I hand wrote it and then took a picture with my phone. I just keep getting older. I just keep aging like a decade, like every
that's like a combo of old and new technology. I like that.
And then what really did it was I changed my mind on the last one. So then I used the edit feature on the iPhone to, like, in my finger to scratch out the last one and then write what I wanted to replace it with.
So that is very cool. Very cool.
What can I say?
I was literally having a lot of trouble, like figuring out how I was going to do it, like how I was going to write this, to do this stuff. And I started, like, I got note cards out at one point. I started to write a note card. I'm like, I have a different color note card for media of like books. And I was like, wait, no. And then I did write some things down in my long walk, short drink notebook.
Oh, it's beautiful.
And that was kind of all I did, actually. I kind of numbered 1 through 10 and then just kind of filled stuff in as I went through. I do keep this, like, of course I do, this running tally of media that I consume, movies, TV series.
You list everything that you consume, like throughout, like every time you consume something new, or every, like, what if it's like your like 8th time watching something?
Oh, no, I won't put, even if it's the second time, I don't mention that. Okay. It's just new stuff. And I did, I think I started doing it a little bit before the show, but then the show made it sort of help to where I could look back. I don't do it just for the show. I do it because I'm a weirdo, but
yeah,
I just started going through it and like highlighting things. It was surprising to me how easily in some ways my list came together. It wasn't like I had to cut things out. I was very surprised about that. I just used the criteria of what will I remember most fondly and be likely to revisit in years to come. And that, I think, really, because if I did like top 10 movies that came out this year, it'd be a very different thing. In fact, spoilers, I don't have any single movie that came out this year as one of my top 10 things. No, that's not true. That's not true. Never mind. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Almost true. Almost true though.
I have mostly movies. The one I scratched off because I just could not come up with the 10th thing.
That's interesting. You actually had trouble getting to 10?
Yeah, well, there were some that like I were like, that's definitely going to be on there, and that got me to like 6 maybe. And those last 4 were kind of stretches. Like I had to go like just look at like film releases from the year and stuff like that. I really didn't even have anything old that I just discovered this year to really put on there. So but yeah, one of them was Morning Joe, just because Ash and I listened to that, just because of the way it impact it was like kind of like a soundtrack for our life recently. And like influenced like Mika's name, and we'd laugh about it on our way into work and stuff like that. But I scratch that off. It's not on there because I replaced it with something that's actually better. Yeah, no spoilers.
Yeah. I thought, I don't know what I thought it was going to be, and I just really did it this afternoon, so it's all very fresh. And then ultimately, I did a spreadsheet.
Nice.
I did all kinds of different media, I suppose. But before we get into, I do want to catch up, and I also would like to crack a beverage if you've got one.
Yeah.
I have. I got this.
What you got?
Indeed, an Indeed Porter. Sorry, I'm holding up the wrong side of it. Indeed is the brewery. Too much glare. Porter is the type of brew, and we had a lot of dinner guests recently, and I've done a great job over the last like 6 to pat myself on the back, 6 to 8, 9 months or whatever, cutting back on just how often I would have alcohol, and so part of the success of that is not having it in the house, because just by nature, it's like if I can consume it, like if I can eat or drink it, if it's in front of me, that's going to happen. Anyway, but so these people they keep bringing like stuff and leaving it here, and even if I'm like, hey, you got to take that with you, we had someone over who I must have got to that soon enough to where she did, but there was this variety pack, and I was like, I will take one of those for my podcast tomorrow. So, and I had one of them during the dinner last night, and it was delicious. So the Indeed Brewing Company, I believe it's from St. Paul.
That's my favorite beer, and it's porter season. The winter is porter time. So
yeah, in fact, I have 2 of them, but the bride also, that's the only kind of beer she really likes. So
yeah,
she's gonna have the other.
Shout out to Broadman too for joining us. They're on the chat as well.
It's a wave, I think.
Yeah,
total. Very nice of you to join.
We're up to 5 viewers, so thank you to all 5 of our viewers for joining us.
Well, do you have anything of note that you're about to open?
I have a puzzle, or it's Travelers, which they do that really awesome grapefruit shandy. I like it a lot, but this is their peach one, which is awesome.
I like a peach.
I wish I had it, but it was so delicious that we consumed all of it, and it was only a 4-pack. But there's this brewery in Akron, and we had this over the break. There's a brewery in Akron called Hopping Frog, and they had a mango turbo shandy. And the beer was so good that I took the first sip and I was just like, oh, like I never had, like, normally I'm like feigning that reaction, right? Like I'm like, this is a legitimate, like it like took it. I was just like, oh my God, that is amazing. Like it was just like so genuine that I was like, here, you just take a sip of that.
Oh,
like, wow, that's delicious. So
that reaction is definitely enticing.
I totally just skipped the open, so I'm going to open it.
You don't have to. I can make enough noise for both of us.
That's all right.
So what else you got?
I got a Belgian white fat tire here. So all right.
Well, everybody, grab whatever you got and open them with us.
Yeah, open your beverage of choice.
Take a long walk.
On 3 and 3. All right.
Okay, well, that smells nice.
My goodness, see, you give me a month off and everything goes fucking out the window.
Well, tell me what has happened with you since last we spoke.
So we didn't have a lot of time off over the holidays just because we were so new to our new jobs that we haven't earned a lot. So we only got a few extra days off. And as pathetic as it sounds, one of the major things that we got accomplished over the break is we got caught up on a lot of like overdue medical stuff because we have really good insurance. So
oh yeah, like checkups
checkups. I had a sleep study.
So
hopefully I'll get a new CPAP and I can get on that so I can actually start sleeping again. And so that's we did a lot of that kind of stuff. And then for the holidays, we just went out to Pittsburgh, saw Ash's family out there, did the normal Christmas family Christmas thing with them for the weekend. And then for Christmas and New Year's, we were just home and just kind of slugs. Like we planned out what we wanted to cook and just like cooked a bunch of awesome stuff. I felt like I spent a lot of time in the kitchen making like Dutch babies, which for breakfast. It's like this they might be you might have heard of them, called a German pancake, but it's like you just make up a batter, like a simple batter, but then you bake it in the oven in the cast iron and it like puffs up and becomes this huge, like custardy, crunchy on the outside. And you put like powdered sugar and lemon juice and butter on it when it comes out of the oven. It's awesome. Made those for breakfast. I made a bunch of homemade spaghetti sauce that we then used for a bunch of stuff. Like we made Italian sausage sandwiches and Ash made lasagna. So a lot of just like comfort food, sitting at home watching movies. We're going to do a Star Wars marathon and ended up only making it like we were going to do like Solo and then Rogue One and then we were going to start 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
The bride just declared the other day that that's what we're going to do this year leading up to episode 9. But you were going to do it like in a short window of time, like in a day or something like that?
Oh, no, we were going to, because we had from Friday through the day after Christmas off. So we were going to just like, we came home on Sunday. So we had like from Sunday night until basically Wednesday night to all to ourselves. So we were going to just like fit them in over the course of those days because we weren't going to make a huge like Christmas meal. We actually ended up going to a friend's house with their family and having the Christmas meal with them. J-Ro also just popped on the chat.
That's so great.
Yeah. Welcome, Ro.
Yes.
And yeah. So then we just like, we're just going to slowly chip away at them, but we only made it to Solo, or no, Rogue One. We made it through Rogue One. And that was it. The rest of we just napped a lot. It was fantastic. Lazy stuff.
That does sound nice.
But then the rest of the time we were working. I mean, we were doing our normal work. And then I've been doing a lot with my pinball Yoda. Like, going out and doing a lot of.
I wore the shirt in honor of that nickname and this endeavor that I only really have a vague. I mean, I know it's happening, but the first I heard of it was like the first time I think that you met her or something. Like you had barely done any work together, so I'm excited.
Yeah. So, and I had met him through. I bought parts off of him, and then just slowly made her became friends, and then ultimately I was like, hey, I would really like to know I would like you to teach me this stuff. So, and he needed help, so it just worked out. But it was really nice. Like, we were coming back from Pittsburgh, and he called and he said, hey, my wife and I would like to take you and out to dinner. And so we got back to Dayton, we met them for dinner, and he had a toolbox already filled with tools. And he's like, I figure if I want my techs to do the best work, they need to have the best stuff. So I'm just going to keep. So every time I see him now, he's like, I got more of your tools are in. And so he'll just hand me this handful of new tools. And like, he's like, that's for your toolbox. And it was just like, we were really, they got Ash a present, and like, we were really overwhelmed with how nice it was. And so then, we've just been going out on calls, and like, he's like, I'm no teacher. He told me this multiple times, like from start. He's like, I'm no teacher. I just know how to do this stuff. So it's like, I'm just gonna, I know my way to do it, and I'll just tell you my way to do it, and then you're going to do it that way. And I'm like, okay. But he actually is a great, like, all of that gruffness. It's like, he is actually like an awesome teacher, really good. So like, we were just on a job last night, and I fixed 3 machines. Like, he had 2 pinball machines and an arcade machine that like a stand-up arcade that were not functioning properly. And we were able to fix all 3, and I was able to replace all the rubber pieces on the one pinball machine. And like and do all of that in like 2 hours, which I was really pleased with. So, it was a great, it's been a really great experience so far. And I have learned a lot, and really am excited to just see where it goes with him, and what I'm able to learn, and what kind of machines I'm going to get. Like, every house we go into, there's another machine that I haven't seen in person before. And and that's always fun, because then not only do I get to work on it, but then I get to play it and get a feel for it. So, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, so that's amazing. And I love this idea of like these house calling pinball wizards that come over and fix these machines.
Yeah, they're just he got me. Oh, one of the things too, this was really cool, that one of the things in the toolbox was a pack of business cards. And at first glance, I just thought they were just his business cards, like just had the name of the company and the telephone number, not even that they had his name on it. And I was like, oh, awesome. I got, business cards in there. He's like, did you look close at them? And they say my name, and then they say Arcade Tech on them. Like,
oh man.
So, which is great. And it's just great to tinker, and it's a nice way to fill my time in the evenings, when we go out on the calls. So
that's so cool. And is it really based on, like, is there a certain, not a schedule, but like some sort of predictable regularity where it's like, maybe this or that many times a week?
Well,
that he reaches out to you. It's all based on who.
Business is all based on need. So like, he'll call, and sometimes he'll call and he'll say like, what's your availability for the week? Because I have these things lined up.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And he always clears with me like what my availability is, and then he'll say, okay, I'll call the customer back and get that scheduled, and then he texts me and confirms like that's set in. But he always talks to me first after he has the machines lined up for the first times. He doesn't give that first in to the customer. And so but the last couple times he's called and where he's just called me out of the blue, because like we're kind of slow right now because of the holidays. It's going to start picking back up now that we're out of the holidays. But there's been a couple times where just like it would be a week with nothing, and then he would call and be like, hey, I have this one table. Can you go out on this day this week? And I'd say yeah, or I'd say no, and then we'd reschedule it. So
that's so cool.
Yeah.
Do you have is there like a t-shirt or a uniform? I mean, not a uniform.
Oh, no. Like last night he wore a t-shirt. Now he is an awesome man, and a grown man, older than me. And he was, and this is spectacular. Like, I'm not bashing this at all. Like, when I realized what it was, I was like, this guy is so awesome. A t-shirt of a cat in the sky playing with something. It was like but there was a cat on his shirt, like an actual cat on his shirt. It was awesome.
This sounds fantastic.
Yeah. So
I'm imagining like when you're talking about that thing, like I don't teach. I'm like you just watch me. So I've got this like thing in my head of Moto know what I'm talking about from Kickboxer, where the master is out front doing like his Tai Chi in the morning, and Van Damme has just gotten there and he's in the back, like basically just trying to follow him. He's like, he's frustrated, trying to just follow along. So that's what I'm imagining. And then like I'm fast forward 6 months and you'll be doing like then the really cool music is playing and you're like doing all the stuff even better.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He did call me his star student last night because his son-in-law does the. His son-in-law is in the vending machine side, and he's training him how to fix vending machines. And so he last night he's like, yeah, this is my star student, and so that made me feel pretty awesome that I'm catching on. Like, he thinks I'm catching on pretty well. So
yeah, that's awesome. I mean, he's got to feel good about you to be investing in the toolbox and the business cards.
Oh yeah,
so early in the relationship. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So, which is nice. So that's all going well, but that's pretty much all I've done. I fixed pinball machines. We had a nice lazy like slugs of a holiday, and we did do kind of like a friends trip where we went and saw some cabin kids. Well, we saw a cabin kid. We saw cabin kid Katie, nice. And
did you go to her place in Smithville?
No, we went to Suds's house.
Oh,
I had to remember her name from WPLMR. So we went to Suds's house, and then I don't even know a nickname for her.
Recently moved back to the area.
Yeah.
Wow, you saw a lot of cabin related folks.
Yeah. So and she would have been the next generation of cabin kids for sure. Yeah. But who was the maid from Rocky Horror? Because that's who she Magenta.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, that's a great nickname for her. I like that.
Yeah. That's who she was for the
Halloween
for the Blair Witch Party.
Right? Yeah. She was great. That was somehow just right.
Yeah. Perfect for it.
Fantastic. So. I've only seen her on Christmas cards since I think the night we did that episode of, well, it was sort of like an episode of Palmer's Picks, but it was when I was doing the tape letters with the bride.
Yeah.
And we were over at Sud's house or apartment that the bride and I would ultimately sort of not inherit from, but basically it just switched hands from her to us. Right. But I remember we talked to Magenta. I guess we would have done Sud's, and then the guy that would go on to be Magenta's husband were like the three guests. We did 3 guests. I don't remember. Anyway, but
No!
I think the last time I saw her in person.
That many? We might have. Yeah, but anyways, yeah. So she was there too. So all 3 of them. So we saw them and then hung out with them for a little bit. It was great to catch up with them and see them and see all their
1,000 kids. Yeah.
Yeah, and like it was so funny because Suds has been like, oh, you know, you got to come see me. Are you in the area? Blah, you know, and really just for lack of shitty timing, it just hasn't worked out. So we wanted to be intentional about it and make it a point to just go. Ultimately, we were going to see Stan the Man and his wife in Youngstown, and I was like, well, if we're going to pass up by there, I know that Suds has been trying to get us to visit for a while, so let's just stop. If I can arrange it, let's be there. And then it all worked out. They all ended up coming over, which was awesome. But it was funny because Suds was has definitely been working on trying to get us there for a while, and then we get there and she took care of kids the whole time.
Oh,
it was great. It was we were by the time she was finally like all the kids are all settled and like everything was good and they were all kind of like self-sustaining. We were like, well, we gotta ready to move on to the next leg. I felt terrible. It was awful. So but yeah, got to catch up with Cabin Kid Kate and Magenta. And we did, of course, we got to talk some to Suds too. So it was great seeing them, and then it was awesome going up and seeing Stan the Man and his wife, and stayed the night with them and through the next day through lunch, and then came back, and then it was New Year's Eve. So
yeah. You're catching up on the chat there.
I did. I haven't seen. Yeah,
I can always tell when
it's not always a good thing to see that. Like, I'm just gonna move that right over there so that it's covered up. I'm terrible. I can't multitask. It's like a dead giveaway.
I can't either. That's why I'm not really listening to you. I'm just kidding.
I'm not really listening to what I'm saying, and you're really not listening to me say it.
All right, we'll look at the chat
we'll
in
cut all that out.
Here, folks.
Yeah,
but we appreciate. We'll catch up, especially on breaks.
Yeah,
we'll catch it. But it's very cool to see the guys in there that are.
Absolutely,
and I'm sure there are some folks who aren't chiming in, which is also okay. Glad to have everyone here.
Hey, come here. What are you doing?
You gotta make it in there.
Yeah. So. Yeah, so that was that was we saw some great stuff. We saw Into the Spiderverse.
Oh yeah. How was that? I've been hearing good things about that.
Amazing. It I was really blown away with how good it was and how different the animation style was in it. Really good. And then we watched recently Bird Box, because everybody's been watching that. Did you watch that?
Not yet, but we're going to.
Yeah.
I downloaded the soundtrack. I haven't listened to that yet either.
Oh yeah, that's because Trent Reznor did that, right?
Yeah.
Or is it officially 9 Inch Nails that did it, or did he? Or is it just him that's got the credit?
I mean, Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross are the scoring pair that done all these movies. I guess it would have been 2016. Atticus Ross was officially added as a member to 9 Inch Nails. He's the so it same crew, but like a probably different toolbox and agenda. But yeah, what's your impression? I actually had zero idea of any kind what that show is. It's a show, right? Like
it's a movie
series. Oh, it's a movie. Okay,
it is a movie. Yep.
Somebody kind of likened it a little bit to The Quiet Place or A Quiet Place.
And I would do the same.
Very cool.
Yeah. It's good. Definitely a unique performance for Sandra Bullock, I think. And it was a nice shift for... I'm starting to notice the projects that Netflix is like, yes, you could make that. Here's a little bit of money. Or we have like class A talent, so we're going to make a movie. You know, like I feel like sometimes you can tell in the backgrounds where they just didn't have a lot of budget for that kind of stuff. And this one feels like, I mean, it feels like it could have been on a like released from a normal Hollywood studio. They really didn't hold back on anything. And it really was suspenseful. There's some good parts to it. Yeah, but it definitely did remind me a lot of The Quiet Place. I liked it. Oh, I'm trying not to give too much away, and I'm trying not to influence like whether, you know, by giving a review on it. But it was okay. It's worth watching. We watched that, and then I also watched the other Netflix thing that just came out recently, which is the Black Mirror movie. So Black Mirror is a show on there it's like a Twilight Zone-esque. It's a serial show, or that's not what it's called.
What would you call that? Like not an anthology.
Yeah, right? Anthology show. Like yeah, like it's like Twilight Zone.
Yeah,
but it's all like near future, and it's always technology related, and the stories are technology related in some way. So this one is a movie that's in that same vein, but it's a choose your own adventure. So as the movie's going on, it gives you choices, and it will change what happens in the movie. And it's a little gimmicky, but it's entertaining for sure. Like I spent some time with it and like wanted to go back and see what would happen if I made other choices, and it will actually give you the opportunity to do that while you're watching it. So you don't have to start all the way over from the beginning. Like it will take you back. If you reach an ending, it'll take you back and let you make a different choice earlier on at some point. So total, it was actually really fun. But I couldn't comment on the acting or anything other than the gimmick behind like the choice. And that took front stage over everything else, I think. So,
and did you watch the other like series? I don't know, seasons or something like that. Of that show you were.
The latest season I have not finished yet, but everything up to I liked it. I found it just as entertaining as the Twilight Zone. And then speaking of that, they just released a trailer for Jordan Peele's new anthology series, which is supposed to be like a Twilight Zone based thing, and it's a YouTube original. So that we'll be able to get that with YouTube Premium.
Oh, sweet. I was thinking I think of his follow-up movie, which
like, and I haven't watched the trailer for that. Yeah, I haven't watched the trailer yet for it. Ash watched it. She said it's really creepy.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I don't think I realized he had a anthology show, but we still get, and the bride loves Entertainment Weekly. Like she really enjoys like reading that in the bath. And so, and I leaf through it sometimes, but the feature articles, like they give shit away. And like she got a major spoiler, I think, for Walking Dead. It was from an article in there that they did, and not like out of sequence, you know. I guess, I don't know, maybe it's a selling point that you can find out things early. But so I started to read like the little blurb about the movie preview, Jordan Peele's follow-up, and I was like, well, wait, I know I'm gonna watch it, so I'll just watch it when it comes out, and not. So I actually have no idea what it's about.
Yeah, I haven't watched the trailer. Ash said the trailer made it look really creepy. So but I remember the trailer for Get Out left me feeling very creepy, and they really didn't give anything away about the movie in the trailer.
Oh yeah, no, I guess they wouldn't know. I remember I think we were at like some friends of our, like a wedding in Northeast Ohio, and it was at this kind of it was not a traditional venue. I don't know, there was something, it was an old building, and there was a basement to it where there was like maybe another ballroom or something like that. So somehow, and I think that's where the bathrooms were. So we stepped away with some of the other friends we knew that knew the couple, and they were like, you got to see this trailer. And they showed us the Get Out trailer on somebody's phone. But at the time, it seemed so strange. Like where we don't see these folks very often. They're pulling us aside to watch a trailer on their phone. Like, and it was a long time before the movie came out, to the point where it was a long time before I put together that like oh, they showed us a trailer for Get Out.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense. Like, and at the time we were just like, all right, that's weird, that's fucked up. But it's also a little fucked up that they took the time to show it to us. But it makes more sense in retrospect because of how cool that movie is. And I'm sure, I don't know, I got nothing but high hopes for anything that comes from that dude, especially following that. Well, I don't know, there's that sophomore thing, right? But it's not like, I just feel like he's done enough things to where he's got a good sense of like what to do. And he was involved in like Black Klansman. It's not like he's just hopping on the first thing that presented itself afterwards. I feel like it will be good. I've decided already. That's always good.
I'm sure it's going to be good. I have no doubt in my mind that it's going to be good, just because he is a good storyteller. And I think the show that is coming on YouTube, the I forget what it's, the like Twilight Zone-esque show, but I remember reading about that right after Get Out, where he said he wanted to make a show that was like Twilight Zone, like a modern take of the Twilight Zone. And then all of a sudden this trailer drops for Jordan Peele's new YouTube anthology series. So I'm pretty excited for that. I think they're also, I saw a Cobra Kai blurb somewhere over break. I couldn't remember.
I know they have some stuff about season 2 on the channel, but I don't know why I haven't watched it. I guess I just like the idea of being surprised.
I think I got an update that, and it was the 3 kids. So Johnny's son, Daniel's daughter, and the neighbor kid that Johnny trains.
Oh, yes, Miguel.
Right? Yeah, all 3 of them in the Miyagi dojo, and like showing that set off.
Oh my god, I can't wait.
And like kind of giving like a history of that, like the set, because it's not obviously it's not the original, but even the like from Karate Kid 1 to Karate Kid 2, the set was in a different location between the 2.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, I just remembered. No, anyway, sorry. That's some. When is the Jordan Peele one? Like, is it in the first quarter of the year, or is it like the summer?
In my Reddit. Hang on. Why don't you fill it? Bring us up to speed on what you did over the hiatus while I look.
Oh yes. Well, not an awful lot. I could have prepared some sort of thoughts, but I didn't. The first thing sprung to mind was that big SVHS Panasonic deck arrived, and I got it eventually fixed up.
Yeah.
And so I spent a lot of time like digitizing SVHS tapes. I will say it did solve the problem that I was having. Good. Particularly with the Crowe Project. Funnily enough, the problem of this black level and stuff was exacerbated by the very deck that I was able to procure, because I feel like it's an AG 750. I could be wrong, but I typed that into a lot of my file names, so I think I've memorized it now. It has these 3 like knobs, like 3 different things that kind of control brightness, contrast type stuff without being called brightness or contrast. And at the time when I was working on creating that final edit of the Crowe at WCTV, the Cable Access Center, I had been making all these test rough cuts and stuff at home that I was able to just, with the little box I got from Best Buy, make it black and white, which most of the movie's black and white. There was no way at WCTV and all the equipment that they had, infuriating. So the best I could do was use these knobs on the deck to kind of desaturate it and stuff. And so in the original like tapes that I made in 1998, on some of the scenes, you can tell like there's still some color there.
Yeah.
But a lot of the information was lost in doing that. So now having this deck, I'm able to not only boost the brightness, but actually put some of that information back, which was cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And then I got to thinking like, what, so I've just been, I guess I'm making it a conscious goal this year to like have a station and keep that like moving. Like for when I was doing it over break, it was on my machine, my computer, which meant I couldn't do anything else.
Right.
I mean, obviously I could do other things in life, but that felt a little weird. And I guess it was good I didn't need to like make progress on the show and stuff, because it allowed me to get some of that done. But yeah, so I've been trying to do this, preserve this stuff, preserve VHS before it dies, and but in fits and starts, probably over the last like 4 years, really. And I made certainly some progress and stuff, but none of the quality has been good as this professional deck has allowed. And so I'm gonna just make a focused effort to just like do this, like at the expense of probably getting something else done, but at least I'll have this stuff like backed up in a way that I can feel good about, feel some peace about. I was backing up, so I was digitizing. So I'm like, some of it involves like demolding tapes and then doing that. And I've been doing a fair amount of that. I actually digitized like the original tapes, like from that Crowe project. And I was like, well, what does it look like? What's the difference between like the edited master that went through all that degradation that I described and the original source tapes? And it was like night and day. There was so much more information and like depth to this like candlelit footage. I was like, holy shit. And so I realized that I could kind of do a match cut of that. Like the audio can come from one of the, finished things, but I could go back to the source footage and just match cut to the. It's kind of like in movies they say negative cutter. No, wait, yeah. I know where you're going,
Dave.
What, it's gonna be on 4K?
I love you, buddy. But I thought this phase of your life was over. I just want to clarify. I just want to clarify that you're talking about doing another Crowe edit.
Only sort of. Only like while we watch television. So that's how much of a difference this footage makes.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's I don't know. I don't know for sure that I'll do it. I kind of did a test. I was like, oh, this is
I thought
cool.
you already did the Fear Factory version of the Crowe, of your version of the Crowe.
Yeah, I did a great like DVD set. There, I don't know. It's a bigger thing beyond just the brightness. There's this like fucked up digital artifact whenever there's a flash, and there's a fuck ton of flashes in that movie.
Yeah, well,
they're like fucks with the image. Bothers me.
Okay, so what I'm asking, the reason I'm asking is, if you did this new edit, this like super 4K edit,
it won't really be 4 hours.
I know, but yeah, I know, yeah. It's shot on SVHS. I know it's not good, and you don't have like a Hollywood budget to do a like SVHS.
How good would it look?
Like 4K. Can they even do that? Can they even add that much information?
I think I probably could export it as 4K from my editing software, but I mean, to what end? But yeah. Anyway, I know what you mean.
So, what I'm saying is, so then you don't have to do another definitive edition. Could you just like drop this version, this edit into that ultimate DVD version that you already made? Like, so then you don't have to redo all of that part. It just has the, but then you're going to want to say like new, like cut from original master footage needs to be
distribute to no one. Yeah.
Yeah. To distribute to no one.
I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, I might do a DVD that has like, what I could do now that I couldn't do then is, there's the visuals are the same, but there's like different audio versions, and then there's like 2 different directors' commentaries that have happened over time. I could do a version now that just where you could switch between the audio tracks on one side. So I might do something like that, but I mean, I've given so much of my life to that I am constantly mindful of not giving too much more. This has been an interesting rabbit hole to fall down, both because I've made some progress that has been eluding me, but also because it kind of creates that new possibility. But the kind of work I'm talking about doing is primarily just like if we're watching whatever bullshit like stuff we watch together that I'm always doing something else, I could just be like hitting buttons and making some slow progress on that. We'll see. I'm sure I'll do that eventually because of how satisfying it was to see that one comparison.
Yeah, no,
we'll see.
Listen, all joking aside, and just like Moto said, I still would want to see that, I think. So
well, that's very nice of you. Yeah, but I appreciate the reality check as well, because it's it's not necessarily time well spent.
I just love that you have the pictures of you getting that deck and like opening it, and it's just so massive and like
it's so big.
Yeah.
And I had to do a little bit of like repair because part of it broke. I think I talked about it anyway, so I had to figure some things out in that regard. So I did spend some time doing that. It was good. And I'm gonna, I guess, spend some more time. I want to kind of make some a list of goals for the year. I don't usually do that. I used to do it when I was more active, like making albums and kind of having like I don't know, like a lot of mini goals related to music in different facets. I would do like, I guess they call them vision board. I kind of have one now for this thing. Basically, you visually represent things and like, here's what I want to do, and you see it all the time. And I guess I do mini versions of that all the time, but there's just so many especially like the archival projects, that it gets super overwhelming. And so I want to do goals for like 2019, I think, but I haven't got around to doing them yet. But I think I mentioned that because I think one of them will be to like digitize like all of my VHS source media. Because it's so scary that the stuff is just breaking down, like the SVHS stuff that won't only play on certain things. Like in the time that we've been talking about, not tonight, but like there was that one deck that broke. And I had these various decks, and there's like dropping like flies. Even this new one that I got and kind of fixed is making a noise. Like as the tape kind of goes back into the gears, it does this weird crank. I'm like, well, what the fuck is that now? I'm like, and these are complicated things. Like I'm not going to be able to fix it.
Yeah.
And I was really lucky to get a replacement part that was broken from some thing that was like happened to be saved from a hospital or something from the college where I work, that had the same part that I could swap out. Anyway, so I spent some time doing that, and I've been making faster progress than one would think. And then, so I mean, the Crowe movie is one thing, but all of the other projects, none of them would like. Well, there's one other short like trailer I made for something that might benefit from a match cut type thing, but most of it's just like impossible to recreate, and so you just now I have the best. Now I have something I know is the best sort of quality version of that, achievable. So that feels satisfying because I've probably wasted more time, not wasted, but I've spent more time over the last few years sporadically than I'll probably spend collectively on this kind of more focused effort. So I'm hoping that will give me some peace of mind and stuff. I also drove so in that spirit of like let's just like do this as opposed to do it in some kind of order and make sure that I put it up online and all this for no one to see. I mean, I'll probably do all that eventually, but I've had these rolls of 16mm film from back when I had those Cleveland filmmakers classes, and we shot like The Mind of Philip open on stuff. And I did a short film with Marv and his ex-wife called Checkmate that was based on this exchange between Jacko and Krams back in the day about like this chess metaphor for romantic relationships not going well. And so I don't know why their turnaround time is between 1 and 3 months, but I took it to like a place that will do. I don't know what the process is, but it's better than I would have ever seen. You know, the stuff on video I had of that involved pointing, VHS camera at a projection on a wall. So this will be some sort of digital version of that I'll have in the next month or 3. So that's kind of fun.
Awesome.
Yeah. So that stuff we did. We went back to Ohio for a really short time, and just saw the bride and I saw our various family factions. I get to spend some time with Moto and his new. He's got these new speakers, the Genelecs. You can weigh in and correct me if I'm getting that wrong, but they sound incredible. Like there's these little speakers, but like if you sit in the sort of triangulated place, kind of like I am to the monitors that are at my arm's reach, there's an odd like 3-dimensional quality of the whole thing. It was really cool. So cool.
That sounds awesome.
His his home studio is really something to behold, and he's been doing a lot of cool work with that Wednesday night group, like my uncle, my dad's kind of jam buddies and high school compadres that play music. He's been making some recordings from them. He's been working on another one of my goals for this year. It was a goal for last year, but it got sort of derailed by another sub part of the project that took over. It was like an anniversary edition of my first album, Dog Days. There's like probably half the songs I'm doing like a remix of, so that I can be happy about it. Genelec 8010A Moto corrected, and those are amazing. But I got to make some active decisions on one of those mixes with him, and that was fun. I don't know. There's a lot of households there, and so while that's all nice, it's not necessarily relaxing. So we have a couple's Christmas that we celebrate. Just she and I give each other gifts on New Year's Day, and so went pretty overboard this year on that. Like there were so many gifts around one of our 3 trees. It was really absurd.
Yeah, 3 trees too. That's awesome.
Yeah, she goes all out. She loves to decorate them, and she loves the season. And so we have a split level house, and so in the top where we hung out most when you were here, there's a great like big. They're all fake trees, so they can stay up and water them and stuff. That's the one. So that's I guess the main one, and then downstairs and like where we watch TV, there's another that has more of our pop culture type ornaments. Anyway, so that was nice, and I think she gave me this shirt, and we gave each other all kinds of nonsense, and like we went to see The Favorite. We go to the movies usually on New Year's Eve day to see stuff. And we went to see that at the Alamo Drafthouse, where I went a few times last year to see. I saw stuff like Aliens double feature and the Bride of Frankenstein double feature, but they do show contemporary releases.
Okay.
And so we went there to see that, which was good. And
how was that? Was it?
It was excellent. I mean, the preview for that gives you a good sense of like the tone and some of the beats you can expect. It's one of it was excellent, but I don't know. Like I don't think I would like get the DVD. If it were on television, I'd probably watch it for a little while, but maybe not the whole thing. Kind of.
Yeah.
But I mean, Emma Stone is always amazing. Everyone in the movie was amazing, and it was kind of a story or a take on things I hadn't quite seen before.
That is a different. Those exist, but it's a different kind of one-timer.
Like, and in a way, it was a Fatal Attraction-ish type or Single White. No, female, one of those type of things, but like back in a different time.
Okay.
But with a sort of modern sensibility about the way it's told.
Okay.
Anyway, it was cool. It was worth seeing. I don't know that you need to like rush out and see it in a theater though. I did see, and that's like less than a week away. The Alamo Drafthouse is doing a series of comic books into films, and on the 16th they're running The Crow. So I'm gonna see that there.
Awesome.
If it's not sold out.
Yeah.
Which is the 20th anniversary of that movie.
Oh, great.
Another goal for the year. This is more of an anti-goal. Is to celebrate less anniversaries for me, because there's a lot of like 2008, 1998 stuff that I was observing, and I enjoyed that, but I think it would be freeing to not do that as best I can help it.
Good deal.
But I don't know. I think that's pretty much it. Oh, I did. Within reach. Let me grab it. I did all this stuff online, but I wanted there to be a DVD, in part because a lot of this VHS stuff translates really well to DVD. Like it has a cool like grain to it. So I made this DVD for the Moto projects, the enormity thing.
That is awesome.
So it's the enormity anthology, and basically you can see this on Vimeo if you go to vimeo.com/Dreaming Out DOL Records on Vimeo, or search like enormity anthology. Anyway, but so I had fun putting that together. So it makes use of some of the stuff. I was really close to like starting to do, because last year I did something like this for another band. Last year I did the DVD of this thing for the NJs and the Jeff group. They were kind of like, they weren't cabin kid type thing, but they were like, both of them have worked with me and Moto on stuff. Thanks, Moto. Moto's chiming on the chat about that. But that sort of feel like a little extension of that Dreaming Out Loud's family. But I had to make a DVD of that one because I knew I could not share that with anyone. It shouldn't be on the internet, and I wanted to share it with the people in the band, basically. But I started to want to do like, because I'll get into it later, but I've been investing in some of the Criterion discs, and it's just so fucking beautiful. Like their library, the way that there's a cohesion to the packaging.
Oh, yeah.
I was really tempted to want to try and do that, but I'm not sure that I'll even make that many. So I barely stopped myself, but I did put a little like, I actually changed the Dreaming Out Loud logo last year to be Logan. You can't see it on the thing. Anyway, building my little private empire. I actually have a beautiful little shelf here.
Speaking of, by the way, Logan, next episode.
What?
Yeah, next episode.
He's in?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I forgot.
Yeah.
But I can't wait. Cabin Kid episode.
Logan.
Maybe get J-Ro on a Cabin Kid episode one of these days.
Maybe.
I also talked to Jacko on a FaceTime just last weekend. Yeah. Caught up with him. I basically have a Facebook account so that he can use the messaging thing to contact me. because of the European connection. And so but it's not like there's very little substantive communication very much in that. And sometimes I'll ask him, but it almost never results in like a answer. But so I think it was a few days after Christmas, I just got one of like a video message in that said Merry Christmas, but the content of the video was just him with a Tupperware trimming his beard. And then you could hear this like baby crying in the background, and I could see his partner like trying to take his picture in a mirror. And he never once looks at the camera, and he never acknowledges it. And I was just like, this is the greatest thing ever. So I think I told him as much and asked how he celebrated the holidays. And suddenly I was waking up at like 11 on Sunday, and there was like a video messenger call from him. And then so we caught up a little bit. And so that was nice.
Awesome.
That pretty much, brings us up to this moment where I'm talking to you. We're gonna, I don't know, talk about our favorites. So I always have trouble naming this episode because if you say best of 2018 for such a self-referential podcast, like I asked the bride last year, I'm like, what does that mean to you if I say that? She's like, well, I figure it's like your favorite clips from your own show.
Yeah, that's like, what it sounds like.
Yeah,
but it's not.
No, it's our favorite things of other people's.
Yeah,
believe it or not.
The stuff, no.
I have called it picks in the last couple of years, which I think is okay. And then I thought, is there a way we can use our segment like the Palmer's Pleasure, Dave Diggs?
LWSD's favorite stuff of 2018? Something like that.
Yeah, that's what it is, really.
Yeah.
We'll make it like a long...
Because the funny thing is like I can... one of the ways that helped me remember stuff... and while I was going down this list, I can remember talking about each one of these things at some point, except for one of them, maybe on the podcast.
Yeah, I did. When I did the spreadsheet, I made a column for, because it could be way too long a show.
Oh yeah.
And of course we haven't started talking about him yet. So I'm like, there's some where I'll just be like, hey, remember this, go back to this episode.
Yeah.
And others that we haven't really talked about. Oh, before we get too much into that, and it's okay if you didn't, but I was curious because last year around this time, and it might have been a little later, you had like action items, and you had it sounds like maybe you had a thing for the year that
I did.
On that
and Ash and I have been talking about. We're kind of trying to do a couple one for this year. I thought about going back and looking for that. And seeing like where I know some of them are just like laughably like nowhere even near accomplished or even touched, like the 12 self-help books, like one self-help book a month. But I think I read like
did a few though
5, and that was like 5 more than I read in the last decade of my life. So, and I said when I went back and well, spoilers, but one of them is one of my favorite things from this year. But I said, even when I put all those out, like one of the reasons why I had so many and so much detail is then because I know I wasn't going to do all of them. So, but I wanted to get down into the minutia so I could maybe like get pieces of them and to be able to, so that way all of my effort is being acknowledged, even if I'm not able to close that goal out in a year.
Yeah. Yeah. You may not even want to anymore.
Yeah. Exactly. So, I mean, because like, well, shit, I don't know. I still find it amazing that like I could be a totally different person. I am not the same person I was 12 months ago, like, and maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's not a good thing. But I mean, my life is totally different than it was 12 months ago. And I'm not the person who wrote those goals anymore,
Right. So, yeah.
Which is one of the reasons why, just trying to stay. I think it's a little silly to try to stay to a goal. And, unless it's like by year 5, I want to like have this much money in a savings account. That's okay, I think. Versus like, I'm going to not be such a shitty person in a year. That's not as, I think that could be not as achievable, Yeah. So as far as like a time goal like that. So it's better if you can like break that down into action steps, then you can say like, all right, I'm still a shitty person, but like, look, I changed these like 8 things though. So that makes me a little less shitty of a person. So, yeah.
Would you want to maybe next time we get together, because I haven't done the work yet. Do some kind of collective. If you guys are going to do something like that for this year, and maybe we put it off more. But the reason I want to do it is I think I just like the idea of looking back and seeing what of those things I did. I do it kind of all the time. But I never do I never do resolutions for New Year's, but I do resolutions like on the regular, like constantly.
Sure.
It's like a joke around here. But I don't know when the last time I tried that year-long measure before. And I've never before had something like this podcast to sort of have someone to be accountable to about it.
Right.
Even if in the most peripheral of way of like, hey, has anything do anything with that?
Yeah. Well, no, and that totally makes sense. And actually, I was thinking about doing the same thing, and I kind of mentioned this before when I was talking about Palmer by Design and how that, of course, is going to be the name of my business. But I have that URL, and I'm going to do stuff with it. But I think I'm going to start it as a blog, really, and that's going to be, I'm going to be able to kill a few birds with one stone, and but part of it is to be accountable of like putting this out there, and having to be accountable to this, to saying I'm going to do this and then following up the next week and being able to report on some kind of progress towards that, I think is very important. It's come to that point where I'm right there with you. So yeah, no, we could totally, like, you just want to sit down and like hash out the process of that, or go over it?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think ideally I was thinking of sharing them.
Okay.
In a way that we could then return to, like in a year. And yeah, that would be my preference. But I would say if we don't quite have them yet, maybe we start to talk about it. Maybe the discussion helps facilitate it if we haven't made the concrete, whether it's a list or whatever.
Maybe in February we'll go over them, so then we can guarantee that they're not New Year's resolutions.
Yeah,
because we're starting them in February.
Yeah. Or maybe just I mean, a lot of this show is us talking about stuff we like, but a lot of the rest of it is talking about how we're navigating the waters of our own lives anyway. So we might as well.
Well, I mean, smoking stats, that was a big one, and that very easily could have blown up in my face, of like I not been able to quit smoking, and then then I look like an idiot smoking after I had put it out there. So no, I think using the show is a great way.
I keep looking over because I listened to the Bruce Lee podcast and they just had one on goals, and there was this thing I wrote down that goals give you something to aim at but should not overwhelm you or make you feel trapped. They should facilitate dreaming and a clarity of purpose, perhaps, so that you can figure out what you want. And
well, and I was just thinking about some of my goals that, like, because you had mentioned the one last year, and like, even though they might have sounded pretty concrete, even though they looked like it on paper, they were still pretty nebulous.
Mm-hmm.
And like, so as I've gone through the year, then I can be like, instead of like writing a goal about a business, maybe it's like, okay, let's just get the CNC table up and running. You know what I mean? Like, let's just get the web page going, let's instead of being grandiose, now let's zero in on those, because that's the point where I'm at now, where I feel like, okay, now we should make the action steps the goals, because then we can start taking those
I remember
off,
that. You like that didn't like the goal idea, but you like the action steps. I think that's cool too. And it was that could almost be a little bit of a segment to where we are like, how are your action steps going? I remember when I did my second album, I ended up doing like a weekly vlog of stuff, and part of that was because I like that sort of thing, and whatever the opportunity presented itself, I think someone was interested and got me going. As I'll tell you, so many of my projects are instigated by this other person. Like Jacko was really the person saying, "Hey, let's remake the Crow," and then like regret ever saying that. But I'll just like get going and really take it to another place. But
4K edits, man. 4K edits.
20 years later. Anyway, but why did I bring that up? Oh, one of the reasons I kept that up, or found it to be useful rather, was that it helped me make sure I was continuing to make progress. Because if anything, I guess I just didn't want to like have a week where it was just like, ugh, things are not going well. But I really had in my head prepared that could be an update, and it wasn't like I was working from a place of fear. It was really much more of a motivation, just a reminder of like, hey, you want to do this. So maybe this could be that a little bit, the whole action step thing being like, have you even the discussion of like, have you been able to make a little progress? I think some of it, it's not so much the accountability, but it's just like the excuse to do it. I'm not expressing it
You're
right.
doing it just so you can talk about it then.
Or just that,
or like just so you can share it, so you have something to share or contribute. Or
I think maybe maybe get talking about it, you help crystallize whether it is the thing that you do want to do. like maybe it's well, maybe I'm not doing this because I don't want to.
Yeah, that's true.
And maybe in talking about it, you realize like, oh, I am making some progress toward this, even though it feels like I'm not. That's part of the vocalization and the sharing of it that I have noticed. And then sometimes it's just a reminder to be like, oh yeah, you haven't done anything in that. Do you, do you want to? And let's get back to it without it feeling bad. I don't know. I spend an awful lot of time beating myself up about how I'm spending my time, on what projects, is this the thing I should be working on? I'm like, well, what does that even mean? Should, like,
right.
And then
you're working on something, like, what I mean? Like,
I mean, it's good to be critical, and it's good to be conscious of what you're focusing on, because that is definitely like what your life turns into. But yeah, I find it weird. Like, I don't know. I think I'm a little too hard on myself on that. Anyway, I like the idea of just tracking that a little bit in a conscious way, even if it's only a really small one, and even if it goes away.
Yeah,
I think the goals that you don't meet are not so much failures. They're just like you just changed course because
right.
it wasn't the right thing, or the thing you really wanted.
It obviously, yeah, wasn't a priority. Like it was a priority enough to at the time to have made a goal, but in working towards it, you realize it wasn't a priority, whether that was conscious or subconscious.
Yeah, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. And I think especially if we're able to talk with each other about it and kind of put that context, that maybe it'll help with both progress, but also my attitude about some of the things I'm doing.
Yeah, sometimes it's just enough to be working towards something.
Yeah,
even if you don't get there, like the work is the enough part.
That more and more as the last few years, that's something I've been thinking a lot about and hearing. We talked about it with Twinkie a bit. I listen to all these podcasts where people are talking about their creative lives and ebbs and flows in their creative careers. And the thing it generally comes down to is like, if you're doing something for how you hope it will turn out, or any sort of outcome based thing or reception based thing, even if that goes well at times, like that is a losing game. The only winning game is to enjoy like the process of it, like something you would do anyway, whether you're being paid for it or not. And I'm pretty good about that. I mean, like the stuff that I work on for myself is stuff that I literally lose sleep over. Like a lot of sleep. And that's, yeah, I just like, I wouldn't do it if I didn't want to, but
right.
I still beat myself up about it. Anyway, we'll save that for the
right
next
there with you, buddy.
conversation. But so maybe action steps. I like that. We could maybe start with our goals, but then discuss our action steps on the regular.
Did you make any King progress over the break?
Not since we talked, but not since we stopped recording. But I think since we talked about it. Sorry. Like, did we ever talk about Pet Cemetery or Creep Show?
Yeah, we talked about those on the Aliens episode.
Okay. Yeah. So I made a conscious choice.
Yet?
No, because I'm going to very soon, but I didn't over the holiday time, just because I was like, this doesn't feel right. Like I said, we were doing this prolonged holiday Christmas, and we still have our Christmas shit up. It just didn't. I don't know. That didn't sound right. But I'm looking forward to starting that very soon.
Yeah.
Especially with the show.
I've been slowly chipping along at that version of Pet Cemetery. It is like the worst Christmas book ever, like to be listening to at the holiday season. It is so bleak. Like every part of it is bleak. I'm definitely past the like where there's anything other than bleakness part of the book. And it's just like everything about that book is so dark. So yeah, maybe that's I just haven't been motivated to listen to it. I haven't really been listening to any books. So recently.
Yeah, the Pet Cemetery was the last one I finished. Oh, I did get I got the Maximum. There's like a big deluxe Vestron Video put out a Maximum Overdrive package.
Yeah.
And I got that. I haven't dug into it yet, but I'm excited about all the just to spend some extra time with that ridiculous movie. And I got it like as a Christmas gift from my sister-in-law who does like Stephen King, but she was just like, whatever. Like, why do you want that movie? Are you kidding me? It's magic.
I almost pulled the trigger on that special edition Mandy soundtrack or whatever that Twinkie sent out. That
one from Europe, was it?
Yeah. Oh yeah. That
looked amazing.
The VHS edition of with the discs and everything.
I'm seeing more and more of those since they did that Stranger Things one. There's like a new. They kind of did it with Stranger Things season 2, but also there's a company, I can't remember what the company is called, that it's adopted this VHS. It's sort of a little bit like the library case kind of ones, but like the oversized library case.
Oh, okay.
And it's interesting because I learned.
Watch it. I bet you this year they're going to come out with the vintage VHS, where it's like going to be like a micro VHS player, and it's like it plays VHS videos.
It would not surprise me.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah, I do enjoy those packages. Obviously.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for that sort of thing. Yeah. But no, I haven't dug into too much Stephen King. I've got the Creepshow thing is very extensive, and so I listened to the first commentary, I think, of that. But I've got good more extras to enjoy, as well as then the Maximum Overdrive. But yeah, book-wise would be starting different seasons, which I was kind of waiting for this show to start back up to do. Yeah. So I'll probably do that anytime now.
Yeah, I still need to catch up on his well, he put out that collection of short stories that are all centered around flying, and then he put out that novella that takes place in Castle Rock. And I need to get that just because it takes place in Castle Rock.
Yeah.
That's like, I forget what that's called. It's like a one-word name. Like Enchanted or Delighted or
it's not ringing a bell for some reason. Yeah, Christmas time is definitely not the time for Stephen King. I wonder, does he have any? Does he? You would know probably better than anything.
What it is.
What's it called?
Elevation.
Elevation.
So it's an E word, a single E word.
Irksome U2 song. Great energy, fucking ridiculous lyric.
I'm sorry, I cut you off.
What no, I was wondering, do you know, does he have any Christmas time set stories, like stories that center around that holiday?
You know what? I don't think he does. I'm trying to think.
Wow, that's hard to imagine, like with someone that has written so much that there wouldn't be something.
I mean, well, usually his stories too span like through the course of years, right? Like, like Pet Sematary takes place over the course of like a year, right? From the year when a school year, because he comes to be a works at that university. But I can't think of any that just center on that holiday. I don't think
that's a missed opportunity for him, or maybe there must be a reason after all these years for him not to have done that.
Let's check the supercomputer that I'm sitting in front of. 12 Twisted Tales for Christmas. Oh, you know what? In a roundabout way, yes, it does. The Breathing Method, which is one of the stories that are in different seasons.
Oh,
and that's only so that story is a story being told. And so the time period that it's being told is in Christmas.
Cool.
So, oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So not a sizable King corner just yet, but
yeah,
it's only a matter of time.
So in all the like talking, I don't know if you noticed, like 3 times Mika's like she's been like terrorizing in the background and like climbing up and like walking across the keyboard. I'm waiting for her to kill the feed so like the whole show goes down, and then like all kinds of bullshit. It's like living with a moody preteen that just like everything's theirs. Like this morning, Ash was like, Did you open that ball thing that you had? And I was like, ball thing? What are you talking about? Somehow
the mad ball.
Mika found this and got it out of the packaging. Like totally destroyed all the collector integrity right there. Like it's gone. I'm just kidding. Like I don't care about that shit. Like, what am I gonna do with the mad ball?
Yeah.
Like, the fact that it's getting used at all, it's totally worth it. But yeah, so, I've been playing with that. She's just a tyrant. Absolute tyrant. I never thought I would like be flustered like that about a cat, and I am.
I could see the mad ball landed in the hallway, so I'm just hoping that she pounces on it at any second.
Like in the frame, like just like ah.
Yeah, it's like over your right shoulder. Like, that would be great.
Man. So
our youngest dog Elle is she's the sweetest dog, and really causes no problems of any kind, and just spreads joy. Whereas our older dog Maggie is got all kinds of problems and a big attitude. We love her too, but differently. But when Elle first came to live with us, she she's a rescue, and we didn't know like necessarily her history, and she can still be a little skittish about some things, eating, whatever. But I got this rare limited edition, like I had to join Jack White's club, Third Man Records, to get this very special Pearl Jam release that came with like wicked special vinyl, like a book, and this one thing. So Jack White has this thing in his studio, or I don't know, it's like a thing I think you can even walk in off the street, possibly, like the old fashioned, like, and cut a record, like cut a 45, and it's just like direct to the record, to the lathe or whatever, like it would have been an olden days. But it's an Eddie Vedder song, actually one that ended up on I do that yearly mix. It ended up on the yearly mix, but not this version, which came out in like 2015 or 16, because Elle ate it. And I was so just like, that was hard for me, because I like my stuff. And there's this new dog. I was just like, why have you done this to me? Like it has these, anyway. But how I can
I know. Yeah, nothing is sacred, and everything is, it's ridiculous. It's more time talking about the shit that the fact that a 7-pound cat gets me this flustered.
Yeah,
it's more time than I want to spend talking about it.
Right. Well, and you see how I'm letting that go, that my whatever pound dog did years ago.
Yeah.
All right. So how do we want to go? Let's volley back and forth.
Let's trade off like we normally do.
Yeah.
And I don't have mine in any particular order, so it's not a countdown or anything like that.
I don't know how I arrived at the order I have. So I'll try to, maybe if I can make some connection to what you said, do that, or vice versa. But kick us off. What was the first thing like that you wrote down and then took a picture of?
All right, I'm going to go from the bottom up. So like, the last thing. The last thing I had. So they're not going to, I guess there would be an order here, just in the sense that the bottom of the list was definitely like, I had to like work to figure these ones out. So, so the one that replaced Morning Joe, was that show Big Mouth that I talked about a few episodes ago.
Oh. Yeah, remind me though, because
it's the animated show created by Nick Grohl, and it has like Mike Delaney, I think that's his name, is one of the voices on there. It's a bunch of like our age comics voicing characters that are going through puberty in middle school.
Yes.
Middle school was such an important time of my life to me, and I taught middle school and all of those things that the show is just amazing. It just strikes a chord for me. And the second season came out this year, and it was just as good as the first season. Totally blew me away. And so that was the first one on my list. Loved it.
Very cool.
Big Mouth. Totally check it out.
What platform is that?
Netflix.
Cool.
Yeah. Not for kids at all, by the way. Do not like it. And speaking of which, Jordan Peele does a voice for one of the characters. So like this weird side juxtaposition in the show, Nick Kroll's character in his attic is the ghost of a jazz singer. Oh, I can't remember his name.
A male jazz singer?
Yeah, and Jordan Peele does the voice for it. Hang on. Son of a bitch.
Is it is it someone I might know?
Oh yeah, you would know the name. Hang on.
It's not like Louis Armstrong or Jimmy, not Smith, but Jimmy Smith. Jimmy Smith. Who else? Shit. No. I don't fucking know jazz. I'm saving that till I'm older and more distinguished.
Like if I'm just going down the like Nick Kroll, John Mulaney, Fred Armisen, Jesse Klein, Jason Mantzoukas.
Oh yeah, he's on the How Did This Get Made podcast that I like. I get
Jordan Peele, Duke Ellington does.
Okay.
He does the voice for the ghost of Duke Ellington. Maya Rudolph, Jenny Slate, Joe Wingert.
Wow.
Yeah, and it just goes on and on. So totally a great show. If you have access to Netflix or you have somebody's Netflix password, I highly recommend checking it out. It's a good one.
Excellent. I will do a TV as well. This one is network TV, actually. It's a show called AP Bio, which I don't know whether or not we've talked about.
No, that's new.
It's so I'm going to click on the IMDb just because I'm terrible at synopsizing things. And I love that they have a one-sentence version of what a show is. A former philosophy professor who takes a teaching job or teaching AP biology uses his students to get back at the people in his life who have wronged him, which that's a good description, but really it's this one guy in particular. So the main character played by Glenn Howerton from like Always Sunny in Philadelphia. He's a Harvard professor. I think maybe he had like a failed dissertation or something like that. Anyway, he's like a disgraced Harvard graduate or almost graduate or something. As a nemesis who's doing really well and like a popular philosopher somehow. And it is so irreverent. It's shocking to me that it's on network television because of like the way that it is. He is so unlikable. It's great though. It's so fun, and the cast of kids, like high school kids, make it really fun. So they want him to teach them biology, and he's determined not to. And he comes to school in sweats and like a cardigan every day, and he'll walk in the room and throw an apple against the wall, and we are like, all right, everybody start shutting up. We're going to figure out how to start getting back at Miles, my arch nemesis, and so I can bang my high school ex-girlfriend as hard as I can tonight. That's the kind of thing that he says. And of course, there is a certain amount of like endearing stuff that happens between the kids, but they're very conscious of that. He's like, I know you think it's going to be this situation. I'm going to learn to like love you guys. He's like, let me make something clear. I will never teach you AP biology or anything. It's really fun. It's it's a weekly show. It's coming back for season 2. Looks like season 1 comes back in March, and it's on Hulu. You can watch.
It's on Hulu. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I mentioned my criteria earlier. There's a lot of stuff as I was going down through the list of like things I saw in movies. It started with movies. It was like, what will I remember most fondly and be likely to revisit in years to come? And already, Brian and I have rewatched this show. So, of course, we haven't seen the last episode of the season because the bride is the bride, and then the things that she likes most does not want to finish. So I think by the time season 2 comes out, we'll be allowed to watch that episode. But we've seen season 1 twice. Other than that, when her sister and our nephews came for Thanksgiving, I guess probably would have been just after our last session. We started to watch that show with them, and they loved it, and we. The nephews, not the parents.
Yeah.
And so we watched it again, and it was great the second time. Actually, if you search AP Bio and go to the NBC site, I'll make a note to put this. I think what I'll do, maybe even tweet stuff, but I'll put when the episode gets published on YouTube, the edited version, I'll put links to some of the stuff in the description because I find that useful as a YouTube.
Oh yeah, sure, absolutely.
So I'll put a link to the NBC site, which has these kind of highlight videos. Our favorite character is this really like geeky girl, like super thin, big glasses, and her name is Heather. And she says the craziest stuff it's such an incongruous thing, like what you would think she would say and do to what she actually does. And so there's this clip about like Heather is kind of a boss. She calls him boss. Anyway, it's such a delightful show, but it's like super edgy for for what it is. So that'd be my first one.
Awesome.
AP.
Yep. One down. 20 minutes later. One down each.
No. I thought we did good.
All right. So my next one is, this one is weird because I'm not into, were you into wrestling at all when you were a kid?
Not really, not the way I've been into other stuff, but I was aware of it. Like, and I think my grandparents, my paternal grandparents were. And so we had like the rubberish figures of like Andre the Giant and Junkyard Dog and Jimmy Superfly Snooker. And so I high-fived someone over that recently. They remembered those names.
My peripheral, my brother was, he was 10 years older than me. So that he was right at all of those names. I knew every one of those names you just said. That was the era of wrestling that like he was really into it and I was growing up. And so like I was like just in my periphery, right? HBO made a documentary on Andre the Giant, and it's on so the HBO on demand. If you have access to that, it's on there and you can watch it. It was well, first off, from the perspective, just that nostalgia to see all of these characters, Hulk Hogan, the guy that Ric Flair,
Iron Sheik.
Iron Sheik is in it actually. Vince McMahon, the like guy that owns the WWE now or WWF at the time.
Yeah, that's how I remember.
He's in it, and all of them are out of character. Like they're just being themselves and like being reminiscent about their relationship with Andre the Giant. And so there's that aspect of it that it like just hit all these nostalgia buttons for me. But then like from the perspective of just being a big person, and not, I'm not big in the same way that Andre the Giant was big, but I can relate to some of his problem, which was a big focus of the documentary of just like, they always came back to how uncomfortable it was for him to exist on this planet that was not made for him. And how he worked all the time to like, not let that show, but it was there, And so the documentary was just like, just really, it was one of those documentaries where it was like you're only like modestly like moderately interested in the topic, and you're like, well, this just happens to be what I landed on, and then it ends up engrossing you and you're just like, this is fascinating. He was so huge, he was just a gigantic man. Like you could put, and they show at one point like a ring that he takes off, and it's like, and you could pass an egg through it. It was so big.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
seriously?
Yeah.
Holy shit! I had no idea who was that big.
There's some pretty famous photos of a Sports Illustrated article about him. And have you seen any of those photos?
I don't think so.
Let me just find. There's a pretty. It's a pretty well known one. Because I can't multitask. It's a picture of Andre the Giant holding a beer, and it doesn't even look. It looks like it's photoshopped. New tab. I'll just share my screen so you can see it. Oh, that's not it.
Is this the picture?
Here, look at this.
Oh my God.
He's just gigantic. He's just like this big dude, and they tell these amazing stories. He was known for his drinking and his eating. And Ric Flair tells this story about how one night he drank like 120 some beers. Oh, here's a good picture. Look, that's him on an airplane flying to Tokyo. That's another famous picture of his.
Wow.
But he drank like 125 beers or something in one sitting, with like
Jesus.
in one drinking session with him and Ric Flair. And where's my stop sharing? There it is. And so and they like close the hotel bar, and so they're like, you got to go to your room. And so they're walking back through the lobby of the hotel, and Andre the Giant just like passed out like right in the lobby. And and it's Ric Flair telling this story, not as Ric Flair, like as him as a normal person. And he's telling this story, and like the hotel manager comes over and he's like, what are we gonna do? What do we gotta do? Like, and like Ric Flair's like, call a tow truck, man. Like, I don't know what to tell you. And so he like just walks and gets on the elevator and goes to bed. He said the next morning he comes down and they had put like 8 blankets over him, like to cover him up, and like gave him this pile of pillows. But Andre the Giant was like in the middle of this busy hotel lobby, like sawing logs, because if Andre the Giant decides that's where he's gonna pass out, that's where he's gonna pass out, you know, like and it just I don't know, it's really endearing to me and really tragic, and really like to see Vince McMahon like be so open and candid about it and honest. He did not paint himself in like the best light. It was really you could tell he had some regrets about how everything had gone down.
They like exploited him.
Yeah, essentially, like to build they built the case is made in the documentary that the WWF existed because of Andre the Giant, like because of them using his name to promote the federation. So
isn't it his face on that famous Banksy like Obey?
It's not Banksy, it's the artist that did the the famous Obama portrait.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, it's that artist. Who's let me see here. Shepard Fairey.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. And he's the one, the Hope portrait of Obama.
Yeah.
He's the artist of that, but that is Andre the Giant. It's a photo, a manipulated photo of Andre the Giant in that famous Obey image.
Yeah. Before I knew better, I used to think that was a Tenacious D thing, and it was KG.
That's awesome.
Oh, I did incidentally watch the Post-Apocalypto, like the movie on YouTube. Yeah, it was fun, and there was a lot more like to it than the songs are just part of it. Obviously,
was drunk when we found that, and I forgot all about it until just this moment.
Yeah,
like
it's fun. There's a lot. You know what? I really got the sense. I have nothing to back this up other than just my intuition. Was that it was largely improvised, like on mic. The whole thing felt improvised.
Yeah.
And then they animated it and made songs. Maybe they had the songs or something, possibly.
Like use those to steer the dialogue, like use the songs to steer the dialogue. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's all them like doing the voices, obviously, and stuff. But some of the conclusions that they draw are just the way that the story moves. I don't know. It was fun. It was very like,
it was on YouTube,
vulgar. Right? Yeah, it's still on YouTube and it's free for everybody, I think.
Yeah.
You can watch like they release it as installments and then ultimately all together. The one disappointment I had was that one of my favorite songs, like is it just called "Fuck Yo Yo Ma"? I think.
Yeah.
Like when Jack leaves and goes to space, and then KG is like sad, and there's this beautiful ballad. Like, anyway, that actually isn't in the movie. It's like an instrumental where they basically show what is being discussed. But and then there's an awful lot of like cartoons of blowjobs and stuff. So that stuff's a little weird, but it's a little weird in general. But it was fun. I'm glad I took the time to watch it.
Awesome.
And I did watch the entire Hot Ones thing as well, which was
fun. That's a great episode. Because again,
out of character. That was what made me think of it. That and the Obey poster.
It really like it's something to, because it's really Jack Black plays that character from Tenacious D just about all the time.
Yeah, that's like a pretty exaggerated part of his personality, but like a really consistent one.
Yes. And so
and everything.
And this is just a Tenacious D train. It just keeps on going because he just started his own YouTube channel.
Jack Black did?
Yeah, that focuses on gaming.
Really?
Yeah. And his first episode is on pinball. He's at the Pinball Hall of Fame. Yeah, I know, it's crazy. He's got a big beard like mine too. It like puffs out like this. Like
yours is looking good. Moto commented.
I know. I saw that. Like
it's looking sweet.
Yep. You just don't touch it. Be willing to eat your mustache every meal. It can look just like this. Yeah, that's my least favorite part. Is that this is the best trained I've ever had my mustache, but I still now it's so long. I mean, because it goes like it's a big
Jesus, you know. Oh my God, yeah.
And so like I'll eat, and if it gets caught, it just is like it's back to my hanging ball. Like I gotta pull it out, and then like
sounds horrendous.
Yeah, it's awful. And then I might close my lips around it, and so then the food gets jammed into the mustache. So I'm like trying to like pull food out of the it's awful and terrible, and it's a fight every day to keep it and let it go any longer. So
it's funny because it's like there's a certain amount of like not doing anything to maintain, but then or to get it there, but then like dealing with it an awful lot.
Yeah, you got to deal with it, and I put mustache wax in it every morning to try to like keep it over in the sides, and I'm constantly doing this where I'm like I feel like I'm playing with it all the time. That's what she said.
Yeah.
No, but for real, we got to pick it up. What's your next one on your list?
Oh, yeah. Just hit us with the title of that Andre the Giant documentary one more time. I forgot.
I think it's Andre the Giant.
Oh, it's called okay.
I think, or maybe just Andre. Let me see here.
Yeah. So far for year 2, like I am not familiar with them, and
yeah, Andre the Giant is what the name of the or Giant.
Not Giant, like the James Dean movie. I guess it's
no Andre the Giant is what it's called.
All right.
An HBO sports documentary, Andre the Giant.
Yeah, I'd be into that.
It's totally worth a view. It's if you have access to HBO, it's on their documentaries.
We might know someone who would loan us their HBO, or maybe has. We've never took advantage of it. I don't know that I have anything directly similar, but I happened to click on Cobra Kai. So I loved that series so very much. And we devoted an entire episode to it that has one of my favorite thumbnails of all of our shows, which is you kind of dressed up like a Cobra Kai fighter. So if you go to Long Walk Short Drink episode 52, you can hear us talk for hours and hours about how much we collectively love the show Cobra Kai as well as the Karate Kid saga. But just a quick recap, it's 10 half-hour episodes of awesome, picking up 30 years after the events of the Karate Kid films, and showing where Daniel LaRusso is, showing what happened to his nemesis in the first film, Johnny Lawrence. It's a much more balanced approach to the story, and just delightful beyond belief. So
it's so awesome, like, and so bingeable. Totally worth it. If you get the free, like, do your free trial of YouTube Premium just to watch that show, but then you'll fall in love with YouTube Premium and want to keep it, FYI. Which it's worth it. Totally worth it. Have you got, like, so at this point you've had access to YouTube Premium. Have you got stuck on a computer that you weren't logged in on and had to go to YouTube and then deal with ads again yet?
Oh yeah. Well, actually, I try not. I try not to use that account very much.
Okay.
I don't know why. Well, I think part of it too is the Google is attached to most emails in some way, unless you're on AOL. Does that even exist? I don't know. Like all of my email accounts are essentially through the Google app, and sometimes I'm having to do things through my job to where I have to be really careful about what account I'm logged in, and I have various for myself. So I don't usually use it, but So I'm still in the world of ads.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But I can imagine that would be really
game changer. I can't use YouTube anywhere else like that other than something I'm logged into. It's so painful.
What I have started to use a little bit, and I used it for the Tenacious D album actually, was through the Google Suite, the Google Play app attached to the Long Walk Short Drink account. Because when I tried to listen to the Post Apocalypto album on Spotify, which is the only, well, I don't even really have an account to many of them. So, but it didn't seem to let me listen in order. Like it would shuffle them. I was like, oh, yeah. And of course there's ads. I'm like, fuck this. This is not what I want.
And the song and the album goes from one song to the next. Like there's stuff you can't shuffle that because then your sketches are
anyway. Yeah. Up. So that I do have that on my phone, and I have been using that.
Yeah,
very delightful.
And Google Play Music is really awesome. That eventually is going to get phased. Google's going to phase that out, and then you're going to switch to it's like YouTube Music is what it's called.
Oh, sure. Okay.
Which is a separate app, separate from the YouTube app. So you could put that on your phone and log into that and you'd be all right.
Yeah, I mostly was just concerned about cluttering up the, but I guess I forget sometimes that, yeah, you've got your own account on that, then me using the Long Walk Short Drink will mess it up. But thus far, I've only used it to watch Cobra Kai, which, yeah, fucking rocks.
And,
if you're listening to this and don't have Google, I mean, if God somehow this is your first, I do notice sometimes people hop in at this time of the year for us and then maybe hop off. But if you're interested in this Cobra Kai thing but don't have YouTube Premium, the first 2 episodes are, I think, still
you can watch. Yep.
Yeah, you can check it out.
Since because this will help us move quickly, I'm going to touch on another one that we have a full episode devoted to. So go back and listen to that episode, which is Castle Rock. It was just a nice, it's great to see that Stephen King is permeating enough that people are building in his universe that's not him. Which that show really, movies are like adaptations of his work already. These are stories and pathways to characters that he didn't make, and that makes me hopeful that there will always be a Stephen King universe, even if there's not always a Stephen King. So
yeah, interesting. I'm sure that's true. God,
I hope so. I really hope so. So Castle Rock would be the next one. Go back and listen to our Castle Rock episode to hear all about that great show. If you want to see that, that's on Hulu.
Yes. Oh, excellent. Okay. Well, let's stick with, I have got one more TV, and it is Killing Eve, which I talked a little bit about, would have been my Dave's Digs for Long Walk Short Drink 49, but I think we were still watching it. But we finished it now and rewatched half of it with the bride's dad and her stepmom. So again, it was like, it's holding up to like wanting to rewatch and enjoying rewatching it. So I just went to, I'm terrible at synopsizing, so I went to Wikipedia, but that's not a good idea. I guess I'm gonna have to try it. But I can tell you it's a BBC America show that is also available on Hulu, if you have a Hulu subscription.
And that's the killer in that show is the woman that does the voice for the robot in Solo, right? Is that the connection?
Actually, no. The connection there is that the Phoebe Waller-Bridge, the voice of the robot in Solo, she developed the property from a novel, so she's actually not in the show.
Oh, okay.
But I think she seems to have, I would say, have a lot to do with she's credited as the creator, and I think and I know, I guess, the one line thing is of what it's about is a security operative hunts an assassin, and it's mostly about these 2 women, like the assassin and then the person tracking her. Sandra Oh just won a Golden Globe for playing Eve, the investigator, the security operative, and Jodie Comer, who plays the Villanelle character, and it's based on a series of novels called Villanelle. Both of them are amazing. Jodie Comer for me is the standout. She's unreal. Like how much fun this sociopath is. Like and I guess the credit then to Phoebe Waller-Bridge is the general sensibility of it that is unexpected. It's somehow really funny and touching. It just kind of got a quirky way about it that I haven't seen before. And Phoebe Waller-Bridge, we looked up her other show called Fleabag, which is also quite good. She's in it. It's different, but it shares a little bit of that British irreverent.
I've heard of that too. That sounds familiar too.
Yeah, what did we watch? I feel like we watched that on Prime, and that was another one where the bride, we were enjoying it, so she saved the last episode.
Son of a bitch!
Got her to watch. It's tough.
Man, I need closure. I need fucking closure, man. Like I can't. Like I got to move on.
She'll watch it, but she needs to have something more to look forward to with those characters.
Oh man, no, fuck that. I just want closure. Like let's just get it over with.
It's hard for me, but I've been with her a while, so I've
no. I mean, of course.
But no, I'm the same way. I really like the satisfaction of like moving.
Yeah. Because then I can reflect on it as a whole and be like, wow, that ending, you know, and
like you forget.
When
we went back to when we went back to Fleabag, I was like, what the fuck is going on? And it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. No, I want the closure.
And Fleabag is coming back for a second season after like a long, I think it came out in 2016 maybe, and now it's coming back in 2019. Probably as she was off doing Killing Eve, developing it. And Solo. But yeah, I mean, the writing of it is really fun. All of the performances are amazing from all the cast, but like the two leads, of course, are what it's worth watching for. And yeah, again, I've come back to it. Like I was impressed, but as I probably mentioned time and again in this, like there's a lot of things I really dug this year, and was surprised. Like, oh, I guess I didn't pick that, but I'm not going to take any of these other things away because.
Right.
Anyway, so Killing Eve, I can't recommend highly enough. Super cool. Super fun. A little fucked up.
I have another television show too, and this is my last television show actually.
Okay.
Mine is The Good Place, which it did not start this year. It's been on for I think the third season.
Yes, I love The Good Place.
Kristen Bell in that, and my standout performer in that show is Ted Danson. He is just like it. It's so his character is so different than any of his past characters, and it's just amazing. He just plays it so perfect. Him and then who's the operating system? Janet.
I don't know the actress's name, but
yeah, she does fantastic.
Played everyone. Like she assumed. I'm sorry, did I spoil it? I think it's a lot. So we saved it for a long time, and I didn't see it till recently, but. She plays like it was this thing where they're all in Janet's operating system.
Oh no, we don't know that yet. Don't spoil it. No, I don't.
Oh, sorry. Anyway, there's a
I don't know if
Janet
we know that one
episode. Where it's kind of like she does impersonations of her when you think about it like that. But she does a great job. The actress does a great job.
She is so fantastic, and when she plays evil Janet, it's just like, oh man, like,
Oh, I just hit my teeth again. What's that? I don't know what I'm doing. Had like a beer and a half. Actually, for the first time I hit my teeth, I had a sip of beer.
Yeah.
Created by Michael Schur, who's Mose from The Office, for people who know The Office. And it's 4 people and their otherworldly frenemy struggle in the afterlife to define what it means to be good.
And really, the whole cast is stellar. They're all really good. The philosophy is amazing.
Yeah. Fun. I mean, kind of fun. It's like a good if you've taken some introductory philosophy courses, which I have.
Yeah, but I don't think. I mean, because I literally have only taken a introductory course in philosophy during my undergrad, so that was a long time ago, and it still is. I mean, they do a great job because the main character is a layman trying to understand philosophy. So. That's the whole center of the show. So the whole show centers around trying to get you to understand these very high level philosophical ideals. So
and then you have one guy, Chidi, who is a scholar and is like he cannot make decisions because he has all these different philosophies that he tries to weigh in his mind about everything. And so that's kind of a thing. And then you have this one guy, Jason, who's like
it's a hero's journey.
Yeah,
the whole show is a hero's journey.
Of course, yeah. and different people starting at different places. But like the Ted Danson character, this is so fucked up if you haven't seen the show. Like to hear it described, he's a demon that masterminds the after.
Yeah. Spoilers for season 1 because
yeah, of course.
For a 2016 television show.
Yeah.
FYI.
What season is it on?
I think this is the 3rd season.
Season 2. Sorry.
Yeah.
All right. At some point, Janet will impersonate people. Hopefully, that's not too much.
Yeah. No. You're fine. You're fine.
So how far along are you then in that?
I thought we were caught up, but that episode does not sound familiar.
That is the most recent episode.
Oh yeah, season 3, episode 9, Janet's. I see that right there.
That's the one. Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, great show.
Though, if you like. Yeah. Actually, the girl, the woman, the actress that plays Tahani.
Yeah.
She's on. She does like a regular bit on Carson Daly, which I only know because the bride is pretty savvy about following a lot of these people on social media, who she likes, and so she likes Kristen Bell. She likes Tahani. Tahani is Jamil.
Yeah.
Is that right? Oh, good.
Yeah.
So she will tape like Carson Daly to watch her, and she does like these guest interviews. But anyway, she's a really fun person.
Do you know? So she somewhere in the Golden Globes, they like put up a name card.
Oh, I do know about this.
And instead of putting her actual in-person name, they put the name of her character's sister.
Yeah,
from like The Good Place.
Yeah,
who in the show The Good Place, those sisters, like she's always playing second fiddle to this sister, and so like it would totally like chap the ass of her character for them to have put her sister's name down there, which I thought was funny. They had, I mean, that had to have been intentional, right? Like somebody was fucking with her. Like, I don't know. All right, so Good Place. What's your next one? Rapid fire 2. Pick 2 that you just get to say what they are.
Oh, excellent. I know one for sure. Super quick. Noah Gunderson's song Heavy Metals.
Okay.
I talk about it in episode 51 of our show at great length. It makes me cry every time. What's another one I could do quickly? That's harder for me. Well, I can. This is another one I can definitely refer to other stuff. So the very first one that I came across, because it was early in the year for me, was the Disaster Artist, both the book and the movie, and then also The Room. I hadn't seen The Room, wasn't aware of that. I was aware of it as a cult thing, but I didn't even know why.
Are you lumping those together?
I'm lumping those all together. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I have 2 that I'm lumping together too, so that's okay.
I have a few like that where it's kind of a clump of stuff.
Okay.
So the one was just that one song, Noah Gunderson, Heavy Metals. Look it up, fucking great. The Disaster Artist, the book, which is basically the book written by Greg Sestero, the full title of which is My Life Inside the Room, the greatest bad movie ever made. And then that book came out in 2013. The Room, which is talking about, came out in 2003. But I came to it all through the attention it received because James Franco made a movie of it in 2018, in which he stars as Tommy Wiseau, the guy who stars in and directs and writes The Room, and about whom much of the narrative is based for the book, The Disaster Artist, by his friend Greg Sestero. Super fun, like telling of a bad movie.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's more than that though. It's about the unlikely friendship of those two guys. It's about
because they were genuine friends. Like they became genuine friends.
And they still are. They made I think like a pair of movies. My Best Fiend Friend, like with R in parentheses.
Oh yeah, is that the Mortician one?
Yeah, where it's a fictional thing.
And that's the one like he got actual good like kudos. Like Tommy Wiseau like actually acted well in it, right?
That's what I've heard, and I think it's now something that everyone can see. I think they were taking it around and showing it in person for a while, but I think it's something we can all find now. But yeah, any and all those things. I think I listen. Yeah, I listened to the book first. I have the book. I bought it because I liked. I just
2 things. Just the names. Just the names.
Okay, just the names. That's the best that I can do for just names. But go to Long Walk Short Drink 39 if you want to hear more about it.
I'm trying to get you out of here so that we're at least a little early for the bride.
No, that's good. I mean, like I said, I like the idea too that these are windows into other stuff we could talk about in other episodes. I know Ro was like, oh shit, like I didn't even know this existed. So if you don't, oh hi Mark, exactly. If you want to hear more, oh hi Mark Ro, you can listen to episode 39.
So this one I have not mentioned on the show, so I don't have a reference for it. But this is just a song because I've really been struggling with mental illness this year, like personally in my own way, right? And this song came out later in the year, and the song so the song is Bishop Briggs' Baby. I'm supposed to do just the name Bishop Briggs.
I'm not as
Briggs.
Well, yeah, you don't have to just
Baby.
Say what you want to say.
But the song is basically it's a love song, but it's she singing about the man that she loves, and the chorus goes like, "Yeah, he's got a fucked up head, but he's so damn good in bed. Yeah, he's fucking crazy, but he's still my baby." That's how it goes, right?
Is it like a fun song or?
Oh yeah, no, it's a great song. It's just like the video is amazing. It's this awesome animated video. But then the opening of the song is like she's like I love it when he puts my seat back, reaches down, pulls a piece of cake, but she doesn't say piece of cake, out his backpack. And for Ash's birthday, I did that. Like I came in and I had that song all timed up, that it started playing randomly, and I just turned around and picked up my backpack and pulled a piece of cake out of it, and like it's totally surprised her, and it was hilarious. So so yeah, great song, totally check that out. Other one, just the name, it's a platform that is dead, but if you go on YouTube and just search best Vines or Vine compilations or anything with Vine in it, it's the funniest 7 seconds of your life. Like
that was the limit of the Vine app.
Yeah, so like the platform was Vine, and it's defunct now. But the whole point of Vine was you could upload a 7-second video. It's like Twitter but with video.
Yeah.
So like
wow.
Yeah, and man, some of the best comedy. I mean, you have to think like it's impossible to be funny in 7 seconds. But man, Ash and I will watch these things, and like some of them we've seen 100 times at this point, and we still bust our ass laughing at them. Like, so
awesome.
Yeah, anything with Vine in the title, search it on YouTube. Good deal. There's my two.
There was this like kid I encountered when I was playing music in Kent. Nicholas Margolis, I might be saying his name wrong, but he was super young, unbelievable, like infuriatingly talented, like just it was otherworldly. It was like this fucking kid. He was like a kid, but and so I don't know what he's doing now, but I do remember when that platform was really like a thing. He was very, very popular on it, like so he was like a Vine star of sorts, and was living in New York at the time and probably only 19. But there's that. And the 7-second part just reminded me of this thing the bride's been obsessed with lately that was on Twitter. It's a longer clip of this woman, like Southern woman talking really like sweetly to watching her. I'm going to say pug. It's not a pug, but it's a kind of squishy dog like that. Yeah. White, all white, playing in the mud. And she's like, oh, and for a while, and then the dog starts to move towards the house, and she's like, oh no, don't go in there. The way it escalates in a super short time to her scream, which I did it better than I thought I would. I've literally never ever seen the bride laugh this hard. She was incapacitated and crying. And she'd already seen it a bunch of times. It was just like late at night. She's like, come in here. You got to see this. We watched it like 4 times and she was dying. And it does. It's funny every time. And it's probably the last 7 seconds that are so ludicrous. Yeah. It cuts off too.
Oh, that's awesome.
All those Vine videos must, because
anyway. Oh yeah, some of them. That's the funny part, is the way they cut off. Like, so man, yeah. So Vine comps. All right. So how many? Yeah. No.
So let's see. I have several of mine are these like clump type things that also reference other stuff. So, one of them is Frankenstein 200. My favorite book is Frankenstein. It celebrated its 200th anniversary this year. It was released on New Year's Day, 18.
Watch that unboxing of that beautiful recreation of her notebook.
Unboxing of the manuscript, everything just fell. It's continuing to fall. Oh god.
Oh. So much things changed in that room that the lighting changed.
That's sad.
So much shit fell that the lighting changed in the end of the shot. That's crazy. Fuck.
Okay. Anyway, so I do an unboxing of this manuscript, which is amazing. It's on our YouTube channel. I read. Oh, it's on the fucking ground now. But I physically read this new annotated hardcover edition, edited by Leslie Klinger. That I'm almost finished with, like some of the afterward stuff. I had opportunity to see a play called Playing with Fire, and this was something I didn't know. But like one of my favorite like VHS tapes that I still have is this A&E documentary about Frankenstein that came out in 1994 when the Kenneth Branagh movie was released. It's hosted by Roger Moore for I don't know what reason. But kind of goes back over the phenomenon of Frankenstein, where it came from and its impact on popular culture, and in profiles some of the movies. But its main stop talking about the theater, which is actually the place where there's been the most iterations of Frankenstein, even more than the hundreds and hundreds of films, is theater. Because the first popular theatrical play came out in 1923 or 1823. Sorry.
Jeez.
Like, anyway, but so the one that they profiled turned out to be the one that I saw in Minneapolis this year. So it originated in Minneapolis. Like they're saying this in this documentary, decades before I would ever live here or see it. It's created by Barbara Field, and it originated at the Guthrie Theater here in 1988. And it centers around Victor and the creature, and they're in this kind of like dance that they have together. Not dance, but they Victor pursues the creature to the North Pole, and it's like them having these long philosophical discussions, rehashing their, interactions. Why did you make me? All this stuff. It sort of takes place after an extended ending of the book or something. But
wow, in
the documentary that I rewatched, they called it like the high point, the high art of the Frankenstein theater, and
that's awesome.
Like I was front row center for it, and so that was kind of cool to reflect on. I also went to not the theater, but the movie theater, because the National Theater Live out of England did their I don't know if it's satellite or whatever. They did a revival of the 2011 play directed by Danny Boyle and intermittently starring Benedict Cumberbatch and Johnny Lee Miller. They alternated roles of Victor and the creature. And I saw both versions of that in the movie theater this year, which was awesome. And NPR did their Science Friday program did a podcast, like a book club of Frankenstein. So just some of the ways I sort of celebrated this anniversary. So I talk more about it on LWSD 55. One of my goals for this year, actually, I would not have expected this, but in 2003, where I was going to community college in North Carolina, they happened to be doing a theatrical production of Frankenstein. And I mentioned this on that episode. I took it upon myself to like adapt the 1818 text, which I put online, to this. I don't know, this fucking huge binder. Here, wait, I can. So big.
Nice booty.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Look at this I mean, this is like both drafts.
Jeez.
It never could be produced. And ultimately, they just staged an early edition of the Frank Darabont adaptation. But anyway, I had it in my head that it was horrible. and it's not that it's not horrible, but it's better than I thought when I like brought it up to just see what it was like. And there's a really like nicely condensed 3-hour version audiobook that Kenneth Branagh performs that was released when the movie was. That so like I love that book. It's my favorite book. A lot of the movies, etc. But I've long had this idea that I really wanted to make a sort of postmodern movie version that really sticks to the language of the book, like Baz Luhrmann did with like Romeo and Juliet for Shakespeare and stuff, where you keep the text but like update the setting. And so I love the language of the book, and the monster is really verbose and articulate in ways that are usually not seen. And so I had this idea. I was like, well, I can like a 3-hour play is not unfathomable. It's not ideal, but it's not out of the question. And so I thought if I can basically listen to that 3-hour book and make sure that I have also edited out all of the pieces that they have, I could probably arrive at a reasonable length thing that at least is not like unmanageable to even read. So I'm gonna do that. I'm like, I think I spent couple hours one night and got through like the first 25 minutes of the audiobook and however many pages of the play. And so it's in the public domain. So one of my goals for the year is going to be to just whittle that down. I created like a black box version of the play to where it's just the text of the book spoken aloud in a kind of condensed and creative approach. Like but
nice.
Creative and minimalist. Anyway, so there you go. Not really fast, obviously, but kind of a multifaceted, larger topic. Frankenstein 200 has come to a close, as has my encapsulation thereof. What's your next one?
This is going to be a quick one. This was the self-help book that was on my list was Unfuck Yourself, recommended by fellow cast member Double D.
Nice.
All the self-help books, this is the other reason, probably one of the subconscious reasons that I did not finish out with my 12 self-help books was I got through like the 3 or 4 that I got through. The main gist was just like, you have to make the choice not to let shit bother you. That at the end of the day. And I'm just like, I'm not going to keep listening to these things. If they're just going to keep telling me that's
I got it.
I got it. Like, all right, I got to make the choice. I'll just try to do better, I guess. I am grossly underrepresenting that book. It actually is really good. It's worth going through. You might want to go to audibletrial.com/LWSD. Download any of the audiobooks we're talking about, except for maybe the Kenneth Branagh one might be on there.
Or not. It may not be, but there.
But you don't have. There's public domain versions of Frankenstein on audio. You don't have to do an audio trial for it. Audible trial for it.
But do so to support us.
Yeah, but if you're going to do that, then get Unfuck Yourself or Pet Sematary or any different seasons.
That art is read by Greg Sestero, who does the best Tommy Wiseau.
Yeah, exactly. So, anyways, Unfuck Yourself. Great book. Very good.
Did you read Ego is the Enemy as one of those?
I did not.
Okay. I would hear about one of the podcasts I like is ID10T. Used to be Nerdist. It's Chris Hardwick's podcast, and he would talk a lot about some of these same books that you were reading. Trying to improve in similar ways. And he had an interview with a guy that did Ego is the Enemy recently, that I really liked. Got me thinking about some of those goal things. So
yeah,
but Unfuck Yourself, cool. Yeah, there's this funny thing where one of the ones you read, if I recall, is the subtle art of not giving a fuck.
Yeah. Yep.
And I came to I looked at a bunch of those books. They had them like in this big stand at the bookstore at the college where I worked or work. I still work there.
Yeah.
Went to this bookstore on a day that was in the past. Anyway, so I looked at some of those books, and there was a lot. They were like parody versions of those books, and so it was a bunch of stuff. And we had this, I guess, dinner party or something in the last few months, and my wife has this friend at work who is this guy that he's just like, who is this man that deals with you? that like is your husband, and like how do you survive all this is their joke kind of. And I'm not entirely convinced he's not interested in her. So I have like,
Oh yeah.
When he came over, I'm like, okay, here's my VHS thing, and next we're gonna go to see the Karate in the Garage. I didn't actually do that, but that's what I threatened to do.
Like a roundhouse kick.
There's more
just
time.
So you know.
Yeah, it's like, you want to see?
Have you ever heard of a 2-inch punch before?
Yeah. Anyway, he's a very nice man. Anyway, he seems to enjoy her, which
you'll fucking end him.
Appreciate. Yeah. There's that. But I bring that up because that subtle art of not giving a fuck. Somebody was talking about one of those spoof type versions that they really liked, and I mentioned how I had picked up. I was intrigued by whatever they described because I picked up the subtle art of not giving a fuck. I leafed through it and I put it down. I was like, the tone of this, I'm too sensitive for that. Like, this is not good for me. And as soon as I said that aloud, like, my wife and her friend just erupted in laughter. Like, the idea I was too sensitive, being married to who I'm married to, that I couldn't even deal with that book. But that's how I felt about it. So with that in mind, and knowing the tone of that book, which is probably not as bad as I'm suggesting, the one that you just mentioned, what was it called? It was the
Unfuck Yourself.
Unfuck Yourself. Yeah. Like the fuck is in the title.
In the total same vein.
It's still a little bit of that sardonic.
I think any of those self-help books that have a swear word in the title of them are all going to be around this, because my wife bought me. I haven't even read this one. But it's like, You Are a Badass is like the name of it.
Oh yeah, I've seen that one amongst them.
And I think it's the same thing where it's just like you have the power to make the choice that you can
kind of make it a little comedic and a little like
biting. And a little biting, but Unfuck Yourself was the best, and the audiobook is read by the author, just like the subtle art of not giving a fuck is read by the author as well, I think. But they're Unfuck Yourself I liked better.
Nice. So. Yeah, I might venture in. So maybe that'd be one from I could give it a shot.
And he's Scottish, so he's got it's a great, but understandable Scottish, so you can like get through the accent. It's just subtle enough that it's worth it. So
cool. So book wise, I put David Lynch's Room to Dream, which was his memoir / biography. It's like a co-written thing. It's an interesting take on the memoir. It's co-written by hopefully I say her name right, Christine McKenna. And so basically how it works, on the floor over there somewhere, fell down, but she writes as like a traditional biography, like the events, and using there's a lot of unique interviews conducted. It was a really well researched book. So she'll give a period of his life, and then he'll have a chapter that's not a rebuttal. I think what they started to do was like have him, to kind of fact check and stuff. But what it evolved into is that they would include his response essentially. So it's this interesting half autobiography, half biography that's written by someone else and presents other people's sort of perspectives on David Lynch. I really enjoyed that. I've always been a fan of his, and it was I like these. There's been a lot of these biographies in the last so many years that I've latched onto and enjoyed as like a window into starting to re-explore people's work. I think one of the first ones I did it with was William Friedkin a few years ago, and then I started to watch like his films based on that. I think Jewel had one that came out the year after, and so I don't know. I've been enjoying that sort of thing. There's Jeff Tweedy has a new one I like. I've fallen out of touch a little bit with Wilco, but I like the idea. I can use that to jump back in. The Boss had one, which will come up again later. Anyway, so I was glad to have this David Lynch one. And it's been a window into his previous work. I'm like a means for me to revisit it as well.
He intrigues me just as a mystery because I just can't. He is an enigma. Like
he is so kind of much himself. Like people like that are so. Yeah, they're intriguing. I mean, I would argue you're a little bit like that. You know what I mean? Like you are a guy who is who he is, and I know that you struggle, we all struggle, but you are comfortable enough in it that it draws people to you. It drew me to you nonetheless. And I don't know, most everyone that we as human beings are drawn to, part of what you're drawn to is this sense that they have an ease about themselves, if only at times, and if only in certain ways.
Yeah.
Or like a unique, they're distinct, and he is distinct.
He is distinct, that's for sure.
But not as weird as you would think. Like, he is weird, but he has a tremendous capacity for like joy and stuff. I mean, generally his chapters are just like, this thing was so beautiful, and he kind of just encourages other people to be creative, and they bring a lot to his work.
I really think his work is really therapy. He only makes it because he's trying to work something out. You know, like,
and honestly, he just does it for himself. Like, the weird thing about him this part I don't relate to. He doesn't. There's no like analyzation or meaning to any of it. Not that he'll ever tell you. You know,
right?
It's like he just trusts this kind of creative instinct that he has, and he doesn't censor it, and that is really like intoxicating. It connects at a sort of deep level.
When I worked at the theater, there was hanging up in one of the booths, there was a notice from Mulholland Drive, and it was a request from David Lynch. And it said, "Dear projectionists, for any screening of Mulholland Drive, can you please adjust the frame so that it is he had some weird fraction adjusted up. And he like showed the frame and like where it should be. And can you please bump the volume up to this level?" And he had a very specific way he wanted that movie to be watched. And man, which is just I mean, but again, like, what director does that? You know, like, oh, it's crazy.
Friedkin kind of did that. I remember when The Exorcist, like, that was part of his book. He was going around to theaters, like, because that was back in the days before like really wide releases. So he could go to a lot of the theaters.
Yeah.
And people skimp on the brightness of the bulbs and stuff. So he'd be back there with the projectionist, making them turn it up, making them project it brightly. Yeah, those kind of people are so exciting to read about, like what drives them and stuff. And so that book is really fun. The audio book is super fun. I mentioned on one of the episodes I couldn't quite track down because it was much more of a side topic, but I mostly listen to it. I have the book, but I think that his audio version is a little different than his written version, especially later in the book. Like, he would just get exasperated about things and start talking about transcendental meditation or something. So the audiobook is super fun. Go to audibletrial.com/LWSD to get that free book on us. And listen to Room to Dream. But I lumped it together with Twin Peaks: The Return, which is essentially Twin Peaks season 3, which came out in 2017
on Showtime.
Yeah, but we didn't have Showtime, and so I got the Blu-ray box set and watched it actually with the bride, which I was surprised. His sort of approach to things is not up her alley. I'll just say that. Yeah. But I think she's probably intrigued for a lot of the reasons we talk about, and not all of his stuff is honestly super great or fun. Like, it doesn't all like really work always. Anyway, but the Return Twin Peaks is different. It didn't have the charm of the original Twin Peaks. It's 18 one-hour episodes, all directed by David Lynch and all co-written by him and the co-creator Mark Frost, which is remarkable.
Yeah.
And unusual. So it's like, if you never got into Twin Peaks, like, you're not gonna like suddenly love this. But if you were into Twin Peaks and are curious, it's definitely worth the time. After I finished that, I went back and watched there's this wonderful called the Entire Mystery and the Missing Pieces that came out in 2014. Kind of a little bit, I think, in anticipation of this not reboot, but like jumping back into the series. So it's everything. There was a theatrical film in 1992. There was a prequel to the series called Fire Walk with Me. That's part of this. And the missing pieces is like 80 minutes of deleted scenes from that feature film that are actually much more in the spirit of the television show and present new parts of this kind of like overarching mystery that is continued. Look at me.
I've been entertaining this cat like for the last hour.
So that was fun. That was actually the missing pieces is what the sort of mini movie or whatever is called, and it I think premiered in this box set. But is actually sort of the missing piece between that series and the third season, which does pick up where the second left off in like 1991 or 2. Anyway, I really enjoyed it. I honestly spent a fuck ton of time in the town of
3. You got like 3 in there, by the way, because you worked Twin Peaks in there.
Yeah.
You worked you lumped them all together. That's right.
It's a big bundle of just like David
I forgot all about that. That you said you were doing that.
Oh yeah, and I'll include also the soundtrack to that series. Every episode ends with almost an entire full music performance in the local bar, and some of the featured acts are Nine Inch Nails, Eddie Vedder, people of that sort. But it's a magnificent soundtrack album. Anyway, I still have some extras to go through on that Twin Peaks Return box set. I spent so much of my weekends like in Twin Peaks, and I fucking loved it. So
that's
there you
awesome.
go. That was kind of a big one, but there you go. Your next.
I'll do the one that I have lumped together. It's the movie and then the book, and they're so drastically different from each other that they probably could have been 2 separate things. But Ready Player One, was absolutely awesome. So
yeah, I really enjoyed that too.
It just
had a bad rap. I felt like
it did kind of get a bad rap, and I think that was partly because it deviated. You know, it's Steven Spielberg took an idea and then made it into a Steven Spielberg movie. So like everything's happy. It's family friendly. You know, like a lot of that. And the book, there's like, in the book, there's a point where he's kind of he's gone rogue. He's on his own. And he there's this whole long part about how he like ordered a sex robot, and like, then he just realized he was,
because more realistic.
yeah. Like, cause he, in VR, the robot could look like anybody he wanted it to look like, you know? And like, and he just realized he was like, yeah. And I'm like, well, that didn't make it in the movie. The contest was totally different. A lot of the stuff was really different. So I think that's part of why it got such a bad rap. But I don't know. I like the movie. I thought it hit me right. But I mean, I'm easy. Just, you know, I like Solo. I'm like the only Star Wars fan.
I like Solo. I had no idea anyone had any problem with Solo for a long time. Listening for that, and I enjoyed.
And people despise it. They hate it. Like, they hate that. They hate Rogue One. Like, they hate Episode the Last Jedi. Like,
I feel like they're just trying to get attention on the internet.
Yeah.
What's the hate, really?
I don't know. I don't get it. Anyways, that's
I like both of those things. All 3 of those things. Quite a lot, actually.
All right. What's your next one?
Okay. My next one is another little bit of a clump, though not as nearly a large one, I suppose. But it's Nine Inch Nails. Their Bad Witch EP, which they called an LP, and the Cold and Black and Infinite tour that followed. It's much more just of a, like, I don't know if I loved that album, as they were calling it. It's weird because it's a trilogy of EPs that in some ways are like, it's the most like year 0, sorry, that you like, where it's sort of a fictional, almost science fiction type of approach to music. Like, my favorite Nine Inch Nails is like the really sort of personal part of it, but this is somewhere in between. And I think the idea was to release an EP each year that really would be what the sum total of an album was, with different focuses. But what Trent Reznor was saying basically is that in the streaming culture that we live in, EPs like in your Spotify or whatever, they're going to be prioritized really low. And so he basically just called this last one an LP, a full length album, just so that it wouldn't be put in that category.
Wow.
So it's not like it was any short or anything, but that was kind of interesting. But so the concluding piece of this trilogy, Bad Witch, came out on June 22nd, which is my dad's birthday.
Awesome. Yo, Jimbo!
God Break Down the Door, the preview single in which Trent Reznor sings very much like David Bowie, I think in homage to the late great David Bowie. That single was released on May 17th, which is both his birthday, Trent Reznor's birthday, and my brother's birthday. These are just sort of coincidences. Moto in the house. And dude's like 53 now, Trent Reznor, and live and such, like his voice doesn't have that like crazy searing quality that it did, 20 years ago. But his intention behind these projects and the integrity and artistry that he displays as like really just that is, I think, why I chose the whole thing. Not like I don't love Bad Witch, but I love that he's out there doing this in the way that he's doing it. And then the tour, they extended to, like, I don't know, they're just kind of doing, like, they're doing their own thing. Like I said, that the artistry and stuff of it, he's not just trying to cater to anything. It's like he has this ability with the status that he's gained over the years to have a career where he can do what he wants, which he's kind of always done in this incredibly defiant and exciting way. That's like the David Lynch thing. Like, you feel like you're getting this direct line to this purity of artistic intent that's super exciting. And with Nine Inch Nails, there's also this like really aggressive melodic. My one critique of a lot of this music recently is that it doesn't do that great thing that Nine Inch Nails can do, where it combines like experimental, really harsh, aggressive music with like a pop sensibility. These last EPs, only one song out of them really has that character to it. But the tour that they mounted, the Cold, Black, and Infinite tour, they did it in the most old-fashioned way, where you had to go to the venue where the concert would take place and get the tickets in person on a specific date and time, all the same date. So they created this event, and they would like wrap the establishments in like branding for the album, have listening stations and people queued up, and you would like interact with other fans of the band and of the music, and have this
awesome
experience. There's this great, like, they have a web page for it on their, like a sub page on their website, where they offer a ticket buying experience with, quote, the potential to be enjoyable. And that web page says all kinds of fun things about how this will just give people another thing to bitch about, but whatever. Anyways, it was kind of fun. So that was cool the way they did that. And then, and all of the kind of interviews that he did surrounding it were really articulate and inspiring. And it's filled with this kind of artistic intent and execution and sort of clarity of vision, follow through. And then the 40 North American tour dates, I wasn't able to go to these, by the way. I didn't live in one of the cities, and I didn't make it a priority to do that. But I followed them online. In the set list, there was like 7 different songs that opened the tour. It's like Nine Inch Nails used to be a super programmed, like they had their show, and it was almost identical night to night, almost like theater. And now, like, he's just playing all kinds of stuff. So, like, they opened the tour playing the entire Broken EP from 1992 in order, and just continued to like shake things up night after night, debuting songs like fan favorite songs, like kind of like rare but beloved songs like All That Could Have Been and The Perfect Drug. Like, that was a popular single once upon. They never played it live. They were just like peppering these shows with all this kind of
that's awesome
variety.
Now, is he going to release these shows out on?
This is what I hope. So the end of the tour was 6 shows in LA at the Palladium, and they did this thing where they had a guy called Jonathan, I think Rach. I don't know how to say his name. He was the dude behind their Closure documentary, which was like a document of the self-destruct tour that was the Downward Spiral. So they're like auctioning off photos that he was taking at those shows. But I gotta imagine, and in some of the photos you can see video cameras. So I'm like, ooh, I'm really hoping. There's like cool collaborations. It's just entire approach to things. I mean, the whole career, honestly, but like it was kind of a cool year for
that. Just really reminds me of the bootleg tour that Pearl Jam went on. That they ultimately then released every one of those shows as a bootleg, you know.
And they had that video touring band 2000 that they made themselves.
Yeah.
Like a selection of stuff from all the it is. So anyway, that was obviously a big group as well. But
my last three, counting Ready Player One, are movies. So the next one was Quiet Place. Just because
I was wondering that when I came up earlier. I remember how much you liked it. I'm wondering if that's what it was.
Yeah. Well, and it wasn't just because the movie was, I mean, it like the Blair Witch, it was just a different kind of horror movie that it was in a such a dry period of time movie wise anyways, that there was this horror movie that used silence to terrify you and use quietness, and it was a movie theater going experience that are so few and far between anymore, going to the theater, where I felt like everybody in the theater was into it, and you know, you had to be quiet. I remember not wanting to eat like my snacks just because like they were crinkly, you know, and stuff like that. So
get fucking killed by the things.
and so there was that aspect of it, and then I remembered how much it impacted me, and then Ash getting taken up by the story, and then finally convincing her to watch it, and then we did a Quiet Place episode with Ash on her reflection on that. It just all around was. We'll see you, Double D.
Always nice.
Early morning tomorrow, long walkers. He's taking off.
Good man.
He's giving a little closer. Yeah.
Episode 53. That's the we called it an Ash Place, and that's when Ash Palmer's wife joins us to talk about A Quiet Place and Black Klansman.
Yes. Yeah. And we ended up talking more about Quiet Place and not giving really that good of such a great movie with Black Klansman. It didn't get as much of a due. So but yeah, I just liked all of that, how I had a good interaction with it on my own, and then how Ash and I were able to bond over it, ultimately even culminating to coming on the show to talk about it. It was just a great, it was that kind of movie that even if it's not necessarily like going to make my top 5, it's that kind of movie that like, that's the kind of movies that you want every one of them to be like, you know, like you want to have that kind of experience with every movie like that.
Yeah,
so,
I remember that being what I felt at the time, certainly, which is not long ago, and I certainly wouldn't say it has been surpassed, the most sort of tense I've ever been in a movie.
Yeah.
It was really, I considered that one, certainly. It was more of like that. I had to add that criteria. I was like, well, do I think of this so fondly that I like can't wait to get back? And I was like, oh, I guess not. I didn't think long about it. I was trying to move quickly.
Oh yeah, no, sure.
I really, really liked that movie too.
What's
a little bit of that hate thing with John Krasinski for a while, and I think it went away. It's gone away, even with the Jack Reacher.
I'm excited for the sequel. He's working on the sequel, I heard. So
no, that's movie quite a bit.
Follow it up. So.
I'm sure can. So I will do another sort of group. It's really just one thing. The Trust Obey Fear and Bullets reissues. It fell down. Wonder if I can reach it. Oh, okay. Trust Obey was the musical collaboration between James O'Barr, the creator and author of The Crow, and his friend John Bergen. And it's basically a soundtrack to that comic book. that in honor of the 25th anniversary of this collaboration, they released a vinyl LP, a Devil's Night special edition that came out on Enjoy the Ride Records on
awesome.
October 30th of this year. And as we talked about earlier, I have a long and storied history with this property. And this was I'm not sure how I discovered this, but it was a little bit by happenstance because I was observing the 20th anniversary of my home video adaptation of that same comic book. And so we have an episode, an extra episode that I created, which is kind of a clip show of the times on this show where we talk about that movie that I made with our buddy Jacko. That's LWSD episode 57, James O'Barr's The Crow. And yeah, so but not only did the guy John, and at one point in time, which we talk about at great length, that thing, John Bergen, the creative force behind the Trust Obey project, he allowed us, Jacko and I, to rescore our movie using this music, like sanctioned. But ultimately, yeah, Miramax Films says you can't have a movie adaptation of this comic property out in the world. This was like, 20 years ago. I think probably now we could get away with it, but now I don't want to embarrass my friends. So what you can see of it, including like a 30-minute documentary about the making of our movie, featuring a lot of behind the scenes footage and stuff, you can see in LWSD 57 and only there. I did hear this really, because of the unboxing video I did of this album, the Fear and Bullets vinyl, I heard from someone who bought my movie back in 1998 or 9 on VHS, who now lives in Australia. This really long, wonderful email that caused me, so like this and the VHS, like I just fell down this rabbit hole. But I have these binders, like I have all these, and I have so many like incredible emails from the early days of the internet of people like saying like, I saw your movie because I sent it to them, and they're like, it made me cry. And I was like, oh my God, it's like, no wonder I spent so much time. I was getting so much positive feedback after 4 years, like making the thing. Anyway, it was really cool to hear from this person who has a kind of a convoluted, or like changes his name. I think goes by maybe AJ. I'll call him AJ. But that was so nice to hear. And he came to the whole thing, like re-engaged because of the unboxing video that's on our YouTube channel. And actually, John Bergen, who I'd interacted with before, but like the guy who created it all, he retweeted the unboxing video saying it was like a really nice, brief history of the many versions of this project. Because he released like his 1991 demo, the 1994 edition that came out with the graphic novel around the time the movie came out, and then the standalone so many versions. Anyway, I spent some time like doing a comparative spreadsheet.
Oh, Jesus.
I probably spent like an hour doing it, of what are the differences in these versions? Because I even have I made a soundtrack album that, because it's such a long fucking story. Listen to Long Walk Short Drink episode 57 if you're interested to hear more about all this. But the kind of revisiting all this material was fun for me. And yeah, that's one of my top 10 things from the year.
Awesome.
Okay. Did you have one more?
Yeah, my last one. You got one more?
You have one more, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So my last one, and this is probably not going to be, I hope it's not a surprise, but it's Mandy. It's going to be
I was hoping that would be in there. Yeah.
It's always going to be Mandy. Such a Long Walk Short Drink movie. I mean, because we had one of our earliest episodes was Beyond the Black Rainbow.
Yes.
Where we talked about that. And then so I remember like a year before this movie came out, the trailer existed, and I sent the trailer out to the group thread and said, this is from the guy that directed Beyond the Black Rainbow, but it's touted as the movie that's going to like bring Nick Cage back on top. And there was one theater around that was having it, and it ended up being that like special showing that was followed by that Q&A led by Kevin Smith. So all of that, and then it just, oh man, god damn, it's just such a great, fantastic movie that is just so different than anything else that came out this year, and I loved it. It just made an impact on me, and it was one of those movies that, like, I mean, I did not know who to recommend it to. Just didn't.
And at the same time, like, I don't know. Yeah, well, I guess we didn't talk about it with other cast members, but we talked about it on definitely episode 55. It's in the name,
Yeah.
episode 55. And I think I'm guessing 54 before that, because I hadn't seen it when you first talked about it, and then in 55 I had, and I totally dug it, and I'm sure we'll revisit it in the future, and I'm awfully glad it was one of your.
Yeah, and just like Nick Cage's performance and the colors and the like directing, and the guy that played Silas was amazing, and the score was fantastic, and that goddamn Q&A with Kevin Smith was fantastic, and like the director seems like this guy that you just want to be friends with, who has this like amazing, like this very, very, very impressive talent that is backed by absolutely no confidence, is the impression you get of this poor guy.
Very self-depreciating.
Yeah.
But more insular. Like, he's kind of got this almost like hunched shyness about the way he physically carries himself, where like the Q&A is hosted by Kevin Smith, who is super self-depreciating, but at the same time he's got his own confidence,
right?
Career that he's been able to have. But
that I feel like the Kevin Smith self-depreciation is like, that's part of his shtick. He actually, like, it's a front so that he doesn't come off as arrogant. I feel like sometimes, you know, like, because he's fully confident of himself.
Very.
Whereas, like,
is his name Panos Cosmatos?
Cosmatos, yeah. Like, Panos reminds me of like the kid that's in this, like, the back of the room that's like hunched over a fantasy novel and like not really paying attention, but like he's the James of
you mean from RHS?
From RHS. Like, he's that guy. That's who he reminds me of. Like, he could answer if the teacher called on him to try to, like, you know, embarrass him in front of everybody. He could like teach what the lesson on what's being like covered, but he's not gonna, like, he doesn't look like he could, you know, he's sitting back there just like reading his book and trying to ignore everybody. So yeah, just like that was very endearing for me to watch that interview, and to see Nick Cage. I mean, it reaffirmed that, like, Nick Cage, you know, he just makes poor choices, poor like project choices, maybe, or
but he's one of those guys that commits like 100%.
And sometimes that committal or that commitment it's not understood by everybody, even the people that are making the film, you know. So like Nick Cage understands it, and that's all that matters to Nick Cage.
Well, movies, like, a lot of times the thing you hear is that are people making the same film, like, because the tone and all that may be hard to grasp, like, as you're doing it piecemeal. And I think for Nick Cage, he is always making like a balls out, like, really intense choices about things. And so, like, in a movie where, what was the Wicker Man thing that we watched maybe at that one point, where he's getting devoured by bees, like, they're telling him, like, you're getting stung to death by bees. And so for Nick Cage, like, he's going all out. Like, the movie
he's getting stung to death by bees.
The way that they put it together kind of didn't make him come across well, but like his part of it, he's a force of nature, and they use that to great effect in Mandy. Like, that is such an awesome movie that
love it.
I would have put it myself, but I'm still a little scared of it, I guess.
No, that's understandable. So, all right, what's your last one, buddy?
My last one is came out at the end of the year, and is Springsteen on Broadway.
All right.
I was able to score tickets for the bride and I to see the traveling production of Hamilton, which I surprisingly really dug. But we were not able to get tickets to Springsteen's run on Broadway. And on so it was a 236 show. I think it was extended 3 times, the run of it. 236 show residency that went for over a year, 5 days a week in this 975 seat theater in New York City. And it's basically, it's been characterized as a little bit as like an adaptation of his Born to Run autobiography.
Sure.
It's a little bit more than that. In some ways, it's like a really long, or it's like a really thought through storytellers, like that VH1 show or something, where
sure,
basically a selection of his songs played by him solo on acoustic guitar or piano. It's a one-man show though. It's like, and so and it's got a structure. It's not like a play, but it is.
Yeah,
I would have very scripted. And so he takes you through his life and career using these songs as anchors, and he gives these songs like a very particular, deliberate context. And yeah, I mean, I thought I would love it. I did love it. It's on Netflix. It came out on Netflix the day after the residency closed on December 15th. So like as soon as it was no longer on Broadway, it began being on Netflix and was released also as a 35-track, 2.5-hour album with each of the intros to the songs, or kind of the monologues, have their own tracks. Which, very funnily enough, like I did myself, unbeknownst that was what the boss was doing. I did 38 track Cafe Days, which you can find on davidallman.net. My own music, but it makes, I mean, like this representation and contextualization of his music really gets at like why I dig this guy. And I didn't always love Bruce Springsteen. I always got at the idea that I would like him based on his passion and kind of a lot of those same things with the Trent Reznor in terms of like this artistic intent. And I came to realize later, and it's really well articulated in this piece, like he is actually actively, he came to very early in his career, actively infusing his music with what I look for in music, which is something to help me make sense of my life and who I am and like how I fit into the world and how I feel about things. And then when I came to make my own music, that became a big part of it too, and why I would make my music and what I would be looking to try to find through my own writing and stuff. And so I really like how he got at that. The intro to Dancing in the Dark, which is his most commercial pop hit, which has these oddly subversive lyrics that came from a point in time in his life that are much darker than the pop song would lead you to believe, really gets at it. And if we had done other clips of stuff, I'd probably go out on a clip of the 2.5 minutes of him leading up to the song. But since we haven't, I don't think I will. I will instead direct folks to, I don't have an episode where I talk about this, but I do make an annual mix album of the songs, basically the same approach that we're taking to the year as a whole of media. I have taken that approach to making like a mixtape of songs for the last 15 years. And so if you go to davidallman.net/2018 mix, you can hear my mix for this year. And there's like a 3-song, it's like the intro to Dancing in the Dark, and it's like one of the few times where he just goes into another song, which happens to be Land of Hope and Dreams. And his intro to that really articulates, like, in his words, a lot of what I'm saying and why I'm really drawn to him as a performer. The one critique I will give of that show is that while it's like the musical performances, what I think it is, I think they're super focused on the lyrics in the context of the story he's telling, because he doesn't it's almost like he's playing guitar, just it doesn't have like a rhythm to it. And maybe it's because I am a solo performer, I have been. But I really think, especially him being who he is, he's making a conscious choice to use the guitar in a kind of a different way so that you're more focused on the lyrics than you are like the music and stuff. Anyway, so it's weird. Like, they aren't my favorite performances of any of those songs.
Yeah.
But the whole of it, in the way that it sort of tells his life story and contextualizes his music, I couldn't be happier with. So that is my final one. That is
awesome.
That is all. This has been super fun. I'm so glad to be back.
Yeah. And we're like almost for us, we're early because the goal is always 11. And it's not even a quarter after yet. So, and I mean, we're going until 12 or later. So, were relatively early. So that was 2018, man.
Yay.
Shit, that year felt forever. It just took forever.
Yeah. Well, well, full disclosure, my bladder's about to burst. So do you want to take a or just wrap? Yeah, I would say let's next time get into like what we would personally and respectively hope
Goals?
to get out of 2019. Yeah.
All right. Well,
and other stuff. Obviously, when I talk to Jackson, he's like, "Yeah, I listen to Long Walk Short Drink sometimes, but I'm always like, I would listen to it on this drive that I have that's about an hour. And you would never get to the thing you were going to talk about." I was like, "Yeah,
yeah, we don't."
Sometimes in the second half of the 3-hour show.
And Logan's on next episode, so we'll talk about goals, and we'll have Logan on next time on the 23rd.
Ask him about his goals.
Yeah, we'll talk about what Logan's goals are, and this episode, if you're listening to this and you're not watching it right now, it's the 16th, or at least the 16th, because this will come out on the audio. The stripped down audio version will come out on the 16th. We'll record that, talk about 2019's goals on the 23rd then.
Yes, and then follow them up with our action steps week to week, how we're going towards them. If you want to share your goals with us, you could write to us at lwsdpod@gmail.com or find us on Twitter at lwsdpod. You could write to us individually if, God forbid, you'd want to do that.
Yeah, don't do that.
I don't even know what those addresses are. Actually, I forget. Yeah. LWSD Dave or something.
If this is your first time, head over to our YouTube channel, search Long Walk Short Drink on YouTube, and do us a favor and subscribe there. We are about 26 people away from getting our unique URL, which would be, we've been working on that goal since the beginning, and man, when we hit it, that's going to be amazing. 100 subscribers. That's awesome. So make sure you subscribe, make sure you ring the bell so you get notified every time we go live or make a post. Head to audibletrial.com/LWSD, download Greg Sestero's Inside the Room. Yeah, the Disaster Artist. Download the Stephen King's Pet Sematary, read by Michael C. Hall or Dexter. If you don't know who that is, listen to Unfuck Yourself. Bunch of good stuff. Go to audibletrial.com/LWSD. And finally, you said the Twitter, you said the email. I think that's it.
Yeah.
Is that everything?
Yeah. The start to another great year.
Yeah. 2019 episode 61 in the can. We maintained around like 5 viewers. We were up to 7 at one point. I think Double D sent us a picture. Thank you so much for those of you that stuck around with us. Ro, it was so great seeing you. I'm glad you found us. We're looking forward to we'll have you on maybe after Logan
episode
some point in time. But yeah, thanks so much, guys, and cheers, Long Walkers. Right?
Cheers, Long Walkers. This peach and your peaches to you.
Yeah, water. Adios, everyone. Have a great evening. Go pee, buddy.
Be well, my friend.
Yeah.